Ellis will throw. Touchdown! Rashawn Lewis.
This is 365 Sports, powered by SicEm365.com.
Well protected. Wide open is high and running free. A total bust and a quick strike for the Volunteers.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Tune plants his back foot, pressure again. There's Singleton with some space. Jeremy Singleton, high, score, touchdown Houston, 28 yards.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
O'Connell, over the middle, he's got Hopkins, the tight end. No one in front, can they catch him? Bryson Hopkins to the touchdown, 72 yards.
Have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Search 365 Sports on YouTube. Brought to you by TFNB, your bank for life.
Moving up, running for it. Thompson Robinson has the first down, still straddles the sideline, cuts it back. DTR inside the 20. He'll go. Touchdown, UCLA.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
We have a lot of news in the transfer portal. At least we'll touch on three stories for sure. Baylor adding a big plug in the defensive line. Houston getting caught off guard by the transfer of a star running back, and then also a former Baylor wide receiver headed to West Virginia. That and more, plus the Baylor women's basketball team picked up another transfer as Nikki Collin continues to fill out her roster. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak, I'm David Smoak. In studio running the mothership is Garrett Ross. Emery Winter is here. Jack McKenzie was here just a little bit ago. First, we'll start with this. Our thoughts and prayers to Chuck Carlton and his family. Chuck was a hell of a writer. Tremendous long-term, 42 years at the Dallas Morning News. He passed away. The article written by Kevin Sherrington acknowledging the passing of friend and colleague. He was a pro's pro. He was a grumpy guy. He kind of like lovably grumpy, but he was a staple in covering the Big 12 for pretty much everything. He was in Minnesota covering the Minnesota Wild and Stars and passed away of natural causes, although he had battled prostate health issues and also degenerative congestive heart failure as well, or heart issues as well. So Chuck Carlton, he was always, he didn't get a lot out of him, but we will miss Chuck, and he was always wherever we usually were covering something Big 12.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time with Chuck on the road and in different places covering basketball for sure, and he is he is the grumpy old spor's writer,
like T.R. Sullivan, who covered
personified, but just a heart of gold, really, and a good guy to learn from. Gruff for sure, sometimes, and but he was a great writer and a pro's pro and a really nice man, and I'm gonna miss seeing Chuck for sure.
Yeah, my limited interactions, he was always a nice enough guy, like y'all said. He's kind of that old school newspaper writer in a good way. But, yeah, just terrible to hear that at only 64 years old. That just seems like it's still kind of young, and he was a person that, if it was Big 12 related, a conference championship game, media days, various, games, depending on what stadium you happen to be at on a Saturday, there was a good chance you were going to see him. And he was all over Dallas, Fort Worth, and of course the Big 12 as well. So, yeah, if you were a Big 12 fan or somebody who followed the schools, even, A&M fans at one point in time, You didn't not interact with him in some form or fashion following sports in Texas over these last, few decades. So, yeah, a staple, like you said, and somebody who's going to be greatly missed based on the outpouring of, thoughts and prayers and support that we've seen all over social media today from various folks, media and otherwise. So, yeah, that's a big name for us. I think that's gone, and there's been folks over the years. It's just kind of how it goes. But that is one that was disappointing to hear, and a little bit surprising too, just because he was only 64. But thoughts and best wishes to his folks, his family, and loved ones, and all of that. It's a sad deal.
All right, Oregon had a defensive lineman, Trevin Ma'ae, who entered the transfer portal. He today committed to Baylor. Dave Aranda, defensive coordinator, of course, is Matthew Pallage. He's a 6'5", 290-pound defensive lineman. He might even be heavier than that. He will join us today at 3:30 on his decision to commit to Baylor. From all indications, he also had several offers, but TCU, Colorado, Purdue, Brigham Young, West Virginia, Boise State, among a few others. Baylor, with Jarrell Boykins going down during the spring game. Grayson had a couple of notes on this, that he's expected back by the fall. Trey Emery missed a lot of the spring, huge defensive lineman from Mount Pleasant High School. And Jackie Marshall had been, of course, got a big body, he was also a guy that missed the spring game with Baylor. And apparently his injury not serious. So they needed bodies. We discussed that yesterday and Monday as well. So Trevin Ma'ae, is going to join us at 3:30 on his decision. Craig, your thoughts about this? They needed somebody, no question, to plug inside the defensive front.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a little more complicated than just all those names, because all those names don't necessarily play the same position, but they're all kind of being asked to produce the same. So, yeah, in that way that he joins those guys, because I don't think that, Jackie Marshall and Jarrell Boykins are necessarily the same type of a player. But, as far as just needing help up front and on the D-line and, getting guys to the quarterback, all those types of things that you're looking for up front on that defense, he is somebody that, should be able to help in that regard, and they clearly think should be able to help in that regard. I mean, 6'5", 290, couple tackles for loss last year, had a sack, played a lot in the first 9, and then played a good bit, produced a bit in the year prior too. So clearly seems like there's more you can squeeze out of the tube there. Hopefully Dave Aranda and Matt Pallage and Dennis Johnson can help do that over the course of this next year. But, yeah, he seems pumped up about it. They definitely need help. We, as you said, outlined a lot of that yesterday. Pretty much anywhere you look on defense, they could probably use somebody. And so defensive line was certainly an area just in general. And I'm curious to see how exactly he fits into, the techniques and exactly what they want to do with him. But, yeah, a good pickup on paper and excited to see what he can do.
Yeah, and look, when it comes to defensive linemen, ideally you want as big of a rotation as you can get. Those are the guys you got to keep fresh, especially as fast as the game moves nowadays. So the more capable bodies and guys who can make plays you have. And, look, he's an interior defensive lineman, so I would stop short of getting hung up on stats for him, because sometimes – great many times it's hard to gauge how effective someone is by stats at that position, because your job is not necessarily to make tackles unless you're there right by the running back. Your job is to help other guys make tackles.
Yeah, he had 12 tackles, 2 TFLs, tackles for losses, and also a sack during the 2022 season. But you're right, most of those guys are there to plug up the holes and allow others to roam, the linebackers and others to roam to make the tackle. So a pretty good list that he could have gone to other places. He chose Baylor, joins us in 20 minutes. And then this one late last night. This was, I think, right before I fell asleep, 9:06 last night. Mark Berman put this out. Dana Holgorsen telling Fox 26 Sports in Houston, Alton McCaskill informed him he will enter the NCAA transfer portal. I thought Holgorsen handled this as well as anyone could have handled it. I love that kid. He's a really good kid, and he gave us a really good year back 2 years ago. He had a productive spring. He was happy. He broke the team down, and he just mentioned it. He goes, I wish him well. It's a sad day. I was a little shocked because the kid had a good spring, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's over. We're going to be fine. I love the way he said this. We're going to be fine. We got a lot to offer. We got a lot of good things happening at the University of Houston. We'll be just fine. But this one did seem to come out of nowhere. And Colorado, you would think, maybe has already been in touch. I don't know. USC, someone will pick up a dynamic running back. And one of the things that also, Craig, you brought this up in our three-way text, is that Houston helped him all the way back from the rehab of the knee injury, and then he gets healthy, and then all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge loss for them, no matter what way you slice it, no matter how cordial you are, and sending him off like Dana Holgorsen clearly was. You know, I know Dana doesn't always rub people the right way, but I think he did handle that very well, considering he could have probably blown a gasket and, you know, said that they're going to threaten to call whoever and done that whole jazz routine. But no, he took it on the chin and kept it moving, and I think that's probably the best thing to do. So kudos to Dana Holgorsen, although I know that a lot of people will probably end up blaming him for this somehow or another, and I don't know that that's the case. I think it's very odd and kind of weird that less than, 5 minutes after the Alton McCaskill news breaks, we're already hearing about Colorado from Bruce Feldman. Like almost like that was kind of a known thing, or there's some sort of idea already implanted there. I just that doesn't sit real super well with me. That quickly, it's like not only is he gone and wow, that's a huge surprise, but keep your eye on Colorado. Well, how'd you know that? You know what I mean? Like that's the part of the portal thing that I think is a little funky. But it's Deion, so who cares? He can do whatever. But we'll see. I mean, if he ends up at Colorado, then obviously that raises your eyebrows a little bit more. If he ends up somewhere else, then, you know, there was nothing to it. But that part of it, I was like, all right, come on now. He'll be a great addition for whoever he goes to, Colorado or otherwise. He was a great player 2 years ago. Granted, he is coming off of a major injury. I remember seeing them doing rehab videos, and he was like bouncing on one knee and had a medicine ball, and he was going at it, and they were super excited about his progress and about his return. And so, yeah, to just go through spring ball and then up and decide to leave before their first year in the Big 12, I just think that sucks. But I'm sure he's got personal considerations. You know, it's a player's game now, so that's well within his right. And to go and seek a better opportunity, I guess, if he felt there was one out there, I'm sure, like I said, we'll learn more about that. But somebody's going to get a great player. Houston lost one, but I like Dana Holgorsen's attitude about, all right, well, cool, let's just move on and do what we can with the people that are here.
Well, and part of the reason you said Colorado fast, it's not necessarily anything nefarious. I mean, it might be, but you doubt it? I don't doubt it, but I mean, like, I could doubt it, or I could convince myself it wasn't nefarious in the fact that nobody's there right now.
Yeah,
right? They need bodies. So if you're one of the better players in the portal, yeah, I mean, like it makes a whole lot of sense that they're going to contact you then, and you can kind of look and see what they've got. Now, I think they already have two running backs that they brought in there at Colorado, so maybe that's not the spot. But I guess you're trying to strike whether your NIL iron is hot. It's just that he could have done this. I mean, their spring game was over a couple weeks ago, and he's had 2 weeks to do this, and he does it 4 days before the portal closes. That's why it's a little strange.
Well, you'll know, not that his phone didn't light up immediately, probably 50 schools, if not more, but you'll know pretty quickly, because if he makes the decision in the next day or two, and you could think maybe Colorado, again, they need bodies, but
well,
also that's a different.
Go check 247's crystal balls and see where he's crystal balled to. He's crystal balled to Colorado.
Yeah,
I mean, the connections to Colorado, Paul. I get what you're saying. I'm not trying to sit there and go like, ooh, you're bad or anything. It's just that less than 5 minutes after it was announced, there was one school mentioned from Bruce Feldman, and it was keep your eye out on Deion in Colorado. Well, why them specifically? Because they don't have a lot of players? Well, there's other teams that want running backs too. I think that just automatic connection that clearly there was a little kind of known going on. Clearly there wasn't on the Houston side of things. I'm not saying good, bad, guilty, not like none of that. I'm just saying that kind of sucks, I think, for Houston, and that'll be a great pickup for Colorado or whoever it may be. But, yeah, they definitely need some players, and he would be a heck of a player to pick up for Deion Sanders.
All right. Also, this young man, we saw him in high school at Cedar Ridge down in Round Rock when we did a couple of midway games. He was a dynamic high school player. Jalen Ellis, I really was excited when he committed to Baylor because we had seen him in high school. Deep threat. Last year he had 3 catches. His shortest was 47 yards, a touchdown against Texas, averaged 51 yards a catch. The problem, Jalen Ellis could not stay healthy enough throughout his career. A star receiver again in high school. Played 16 games over 3 years at Baylor. He now joins West Virginia. Cousins, he reached out to me I think it was Paul, who covers West Virginia. And I said, listen, he's a deep threat, and they hit him just like all of a sudden he shows up, but he hasn't been able to stay on the field. We wish Jalen Ellis the best of luck.
Yeah, Mountaineer Paul sent me just asked me about him and said, yeah, this is a player that has a ton of upside, just not a lot of production yet. And because it's been this injury and that injury, and, and I don't think it was anything, as far as I'm looking back, he didn't have anything major. It's just, it's been hamstrings or ankles or these things that have kind of kept him out. So if he can stay healthy, he has a ton of potential, but staying healthy is the key. And that's why he's not here anymore, just because they couldn't wait on him to get healthy.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. It's just the health piece with Jalen Ellis, and he couldn't get healthy over 4 years, basically. He was a high-priority guy for Matt Rule and the old staff, and had the connection with now quarterbacks coach Sean Bell, who was his high school coach for, just a year there at Cedar Ridge down near Austin. And they had that connection, and Sean Bell worked that and eventually got Jalen over, Texas and Michigan and a few other schools as well. So that was a big deal to land him, especially at that time when there was not a lot of knowns going on. There was a lot of just struggling to, clean up the image and just get the program on track and all those types of things. And he was one of those like beacons of light back then of like, okay, everything's going to be okay. We got Jalen Ellis is coming here. Like, we're going to be fine. He'll always represent that. But unfortunately, just once he got here, playing wise, the highlights and the moments were a little bit too few and far between. I mean, you look at his stats from last year, and he had 3 long catches. But he only had 3 catches, and he had a touchdown amongst those.
47 yards to Texas, yeah.
Yeah, a 47-yard touchdown. Just out of nowhere, hadn't seen him catch a ball in 6 weeks or something, or maybe we've seen him catch 1. And then all of a sudden, here he is in the Texas game, the very end of the year, and he's catching this long bomb, and everybody's like, where was this the entire time? I remember, why can't this be a more regular thing with Jalen Ellis? He was always going to be that deep threat, and when he'd make a catch, you're like, that's awesome, but it was twice a year. And you're like, so why can't he do that 10 times a year? At least once a week maybe. But it was injuries. It was, I guess just whatever other things might have prevented him, just the depth chart or whatever. So I think West Virginia's got a really dynamic player. If they can get him more consistent, keep him healthy, and put a focus on him, then, they got a deep ball threat that could really do some damage and a speedy guy. But, that was the issue at Baylor. So I wish him the best of luck. He could never really find his footing. There was a lot of love, though, between he and the program. So I'm sure they're wishing him well, and, just hope that he doesn't click and start to really find his groove against them next year. But, I think he'll make some plays for the Mountaineers, and that's a good pickup for Neil Brown and company.
One note from Baylor women's basketball, they added transfer guard Danae Fritz from Iowa State. She played a lot for the Cyclones. Scored in a couple of games against Baylor, and Baylor beat them up in Ames. And then I should have beaten them at home. They lost track of the game late, and then I think in overtime, she brings yet more firepower to Nikki Collin, who's locking up a lot of players for her roster. They have 2 spots left. Garrett, real quickly, it's a nice pickup. You wrote the story about her. Mm-hmm. They had the injuries to Dre Edwards, or no, she was the eligibility issue because of the transfer. Asia Blackwell, they're back. They seem to be compiling a lot of players that give them a lot of flexibility.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is really great from a depth perspective. She's going to be able to bring in some defensive intensity that they were missing at times last year with Jaden Owens on, and you have the other transfers coming in to make up for the scoring. It's going to be impressive to see what she can do. I like their rotation. And if everybody stays healthy in the way the departures have gone for the Big 12 this past season, whether that be from players or coaching changes, I think Baylor's set up really nicely to get back into contention and make a run for a Big 12 championship next season.
Well, it'll be a 3rd year for Nikki Collins. So last year, she's from Tennessee, started 31 of 32 games for a good team, averaged almost 9 points, 5 rebounds, shot 42.6%, 34% from 3 points. Now, we hear about the transfer portal for players, right? How about the transfer portal for college football officials? John Wilner from the San Jose Mercury News and the Wilner Hotline. The Big Ten took 3 football officials. Among the top officials or referees have accepted positions with the Big Ten. And the website that tracks NFL and NCAA officiating was the first to report the news. Football Zebras. Coity worked the college football playoff game last year. So pretty high level. Pac-12 declined to identify the departed, but did confirm that they did lose 3. In addition, a fourth longtime official, Michael Mothershed, has retired. And so the Big Ten not just taking teams, but also, and I don't know how often this happens, but also taking 3 officials.
Yeah, maybe I guess maybe they feel it's late in the game and to bring somebody up or hire somebody or change it too. But I will say this: I think maybe the reason the Pac-12 is more concerned about this than most, and we can ask any Pac-12 fan on the chat. I know every conference complains about their officials, but the Pac-12 is the one that's had like legitimate actual like problems and had to like shake things down. Larry Scott did not have his arms around that either as the Pac-12 commissioner. So any kind of negative news when it comes to the Pac-12 officials probably stresses people out 10% more than it maybe even needs to, just because of the history they've had there recently.
There's nothing worse. There's no moment, and I know that there have been probably 100. In the last 15 or 20 years, there has never been a worse scenario, a worse piece of evidence of horrible officiating than when Oklahoma played up in Eugene. And Oklahoma was going to win the game. There was an onside kick. Oklahoma came out of the pack of bodies.
Alan Patrick.
With the ball, and the officials are sitting there showing that it's Oregon's ball. They went on, they scored, and won the game. I know that everybody has a Big 12. To me, their biggest problem is a lot of delays and reviews or whatever. But that play, that onside kick up in Eugene, and all due respect to Oregon, it was as blatant, horrific as I've ever seen when it comes to a call in a college football game.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's already made the joke by now. The Pac-12 has good officials, so, I mean, I think we all kind of had the same sort of groupthink there. But, yeah, USC and UCLA, I guess, are bringing some friends along with them, whether they wanted to or not, and they'll have a little taste of the type of officiating they've been used to. But, yeah, I mean, that's interesting that, that's where the Big Ten chose to look, and they felt the need to replenish their ranks with some folks out west. I don't know how is the Pac-12 pinched by the officiating crisis right now. I mean, I'm sure there's probably not too much of a shortage, I wouldn't think, for like high-level college football officials, because that's kind of like, I guess there's the NFL and whatnot, but that seems like you'd be gearing up for, right? If you're an official, like not necessarily high school football, you eventually want to get to the college ranks probably, and so that'll be a great opportunity for somebody. But yeah, I don't know how much the official shortage like pinches that or whatever, but good for those guys moving on. That'll be interesting to see how they how they replace them, and then what kind of storylines that maybe that breeds depending on the officiating throughout this upcoming year. But yeah, that Alan Patrick, the onside kick call between Oregon and Oklahoma, which was way back in 2006. I remember that clear as day. I've never been more pissed at an official's call in my entire life because it was so blatantly and egregiously dirty. I mean, it was – I couldn't believe what I was watching. Like it's one thing when there's like a pass interference, you're like, what are you talking? Like there's things like that. I totally understand how there's been plenty of moments for people to get up in arms. The Dez caught it. That whole scenario. This was an onside kick, a dude clearly recovering it, coming up with the ball, having the ball in his hand, putting the ball up like, I've got it, and then they still gave it to Oregon without any explanation. Without
any way they could have seen that.
There was no way to make that call without being glaringly corrupt. And sure enough, those officials got suspended after that game. Rightfully so. They should have been fired because I'll never not be convinced they didn't have something riding on that game with how blatantly dirty that was. Clearly, I still have feelings about it, but that was, I mean, it was that bad though. It really, I don't carry grudges. It was that bad, and I could not believe what I was watching that day.
I knew this was going to get good when you brought it up, and Craig immediately said the name of the player who recovered the ball.
Yeah, because every Oklahoma fan knows.
Yeah,
it's almost as tragic as when William Floyd of Florida State picked up a first down in the national championship game against Nebraska that led to a touchdown. Replay would have overruled it, but there was no replay, and so it's a first down. You move on.
Technology's overrated.
Here's a quick note from Eric Mate. Craig, I get it. I was frustrated myself. This is from Eric Mateos, Baylor offensive line coach. Now, remember, they might have 2-3 players that end up at NFL camps and maybe 1, 2, or 3 that are drafted this weekend. Finally graded our spring game. I'm very proud of our offensive line boys. So much growth this semester, never flinched, head down, pounded the rock, became a real offensive line family that fights for each other. The tighter we are, the better we are. Here we come. I'm a lucky coach. And that's really good news. Again, that's the coach. He's proud of that group. They need players to step up. And they had, of course, a couple of key transfers of the Barrington brothers from Brigham Young. When we come back, Trevin Ma'ae, he is going to be a part of the Baylor football program. They had Byron Vaughns, who transferred from Utah State to help with possible pressure and disruption on the edge. And now they get the defensive tackle inside to add to what they have and what they need. He's next. Trevin Ma'ae, next on 365 Sports.
Your springtime experience begins during the Jeep Celebration event this month at Allen Samuels in Waco. Save big and get a 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited with total values up to $5,500 on both 2- and 3-row options. Or if that isn't enough, get a 2023 Jeep Gladiator Sport with up to $5,000 in total values. Plus, first responders get an extra $500. If we don't have exactly what you want, we can help you build the new custom Jeep of your dreams at Allen Samuels in Waco.
The future's bright, the time is now. College is what you make it. It's a late night pizza run and all-nighters coding a new project. It's having big dreams and making them a reality. It's a professor who knows your name and your story. It's preparation for your future, your calling, your life. And at Baylor, it's even more. Baylor, where lights shine bright.
Aaron Duvall, owner, Texas Beef House. Aaron, it's premium grade East Texas beef, and you're located just outside of Tyler. No hormones, no antibiotics, no steroids, the kind of beef that people want. And then also your label is what catches people's attention as well.
Yes, we have a all-natural, pasture-raised Wagyu beef. It's a USDA label. That means our cattle never spend any time in the feed yard. They go straight from the pasture to the day of harvest, and we oversee the whole process from the beginning of the genetic choices when we make these matings to the time the calves are born, to the feed choices, all the way through when the animals are harvested. So we oversee the whole thing as a family, and we just believe, life's too short to eat average beef. So we offer people a chance to step up their game and try Wagyu beef at TexasBeefHouse.com.
Where is the best beef in Texas? Your house. When you order from Texas Beef House, unleash the flavor of Texas-raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
How did Edward Jones become one of the biggest financial service companies in the world? By not acting that way. Financial strategies, one-on-one advice, it's a big difference. And that's why Brad Wilson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, makes sense of investing. Experience the difference for yourself. Brad Wilson, 250 Sharon Drive in Woodway, 254-776-4337. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit Marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Trevin Ma'ae from Oregon made the decision earlier today on social media that he's committed to play and transfer to Baylor, play for Dave Aranda, Matthew Pallage, and others on the staff, and he now joins us on 365 Sports with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoak. Trevin, thanks for your time. Trev, as you said you like to be called, appreciate your time. What was the decision-making once you entered the portal, and how did you come to eventually land or commit to Baylor?
Well, I had to start. I just want to say thank you for having me on with you folks today. Really, once I entered the portal, Coach Pallage hit me up and said they had a spot, and we just got to talking from there and kept in contact with the coaches, talked about getting a visit, and after the spring game, my fiance and I, we liked what we saw and decided Baylor's the home for us.
Did you miss playing for Coach Pallage?
Oh, I did. Well, he was with the safeties when I was at Oregon. Mm-hmm. But he's the D coordinator now, and Coach Pallage is a great dude. Everybody on the Baylor staff, I just loved being around them. They're the type of people I want to be coached by and surround myself with.
Trevin, did you know anybody else besides Coach Pallage? And if so, I mean, obviously you could expand on that. But if not, who were maybe a couple of the coaches or the couple of people you met during your visit that you're excited to get to know a little bit more?
So personally, nobody other than Coach Pallage, and then I played against Clark Barrington last year when he was at BYU, so that was nice. And really, just the whole coaching staff has been great to me and my fiance during this process. Talking with Coach DJ, Coach Aranda, Coach Bell, everybody's been just showing a lot of love.
Trev, they obviously have bodies, but they need more. I don't think you'd ever have enough players that are inside that physical, and how many snaps. It's hard to play a bunch of snaps at that position. What were you told about the need and also your role?
Definitely. So right now they're looking at me to come in and play some nose and then just see where else I fit. There's a need at D-line. There's always a need everywhere at any place. D-line's not an easy job to play, and takes a lot of rotation, and there's a lot that goes into it. So that's where they said I'll fit, and I'm happy to be a part of the program and help in any way I can.
Can you describe to someone who's never done it what it is like to play an entire game on the D-line physically, and that, like, you're trying to administer punishment for sure, but just the collateral damage that happens during a game?
Sure. I mean, football as a whole is a rough sport, and that's the big reason why we love it. It's not for everyone, but definitely, there's on average probably 60, 70 snaps in a game, and even after one series, it's tough. And as the game goes on, it's just picking apart who can be the most consistent amongst each other between teams, who can be the most consistent to execute technique and line up correctly and run the plays as prescribed by the coaches. So when you talk about playing the whole game, it gets real tough. And so that's where talking about rotating, getting people in, fresh legs every series, getting in different personnel groupings. So it's very important.
Trevin, what would be sort of the scouting report on yourself for people who haven't watched you play before or starting to learn about you now and excited? How would you kind of scout yourself if you had to do that?
Well, I would say my biggest strength is my high effort, running to the ball. That's a premium for me growing up. I always being one of my strengths, running to the ball, and just the willingness to prepare and with attention to detail for the plays, getting in the playbook, learning every facet of it, and being able to be available and dependable when called upon. So those are the biggest things for me personally, and I take pride in playing the run, setting edges.
Right now, I got to ask you this question, and your fiance, who is fantastic and giving me some information, how many and what is your order when you go to McDonald's? What is the normal Trevin Ma'ae order at Mickey D's?
Okay, all right. So just between us and whoever's listening on the talk show, and this isn't an everyday thing. It's every so often. I do typically get 5 McDoubles, 5 McChickens, 20-piece chicken nuggets, some fries, and a sweet tea.
Do you get the basket of fries, or do you is that where you skimp?
1 or 2 large fries. You know, fries are fries, but it's just there for after. I'm still hungry.
Oh my goodness! Well, you got to be able to play that nose tackle, right? I mean, you got to keep yourself in that nose tackle weight. How much does your Samoan heritage? How much pride do you take in the culture there?
I take a lot of pride in my culture. It's a warrior. All polys come from a warrior ancestry. So every time I step on the field, I take that with me, knowing that this is what I'm meant for, is to play football. And I think of carrying my ancestors with me into every game, every time I put on the helmet. So it means a lot to me.
Trev, where in Hawaii are you from?
So I'm originally from Kapolei, Hawaii. That's on Oahu.
I'm getting married there in 6 weeks.
Oh, congratulations! Yeah. I'm getting married in less than 8 weeks on Maui. So,
wow, you guys you guys should get together and have like a bachelor party or something like that.
We should, Trev. What is it about football that the Samoan culture really wrapped their arms around?
So, as Polynesians, we're naturally big and naturally athletic. So, it makes sense. You know, a lot of polys typically play line, D-line, linebacker, fullback, and every other position too, really. But just us as big people, I would say that's the biggest thing. And then coming from a culture based on respect and working hard, and also having that warrior ancestry, football and rugby. Those are the main attractions for Polynesians, especially as a way out for those who didn't have the best opportunities afforded to them, or start out in the best circumstances and situations. Being able to play football or any other sport really just helps to better improve station in life.
Right on. That makes a lot of sense. It's a beautiful thing. Trevin, Dave Aranda, how much did you get to interact with him, and what were some of your impressions on what interactions you did have with Baylor's head coach?
First off, our interactions were great. Coach Aranda and I talked almost every day throughout the process. Spending time with him and his family on our visit was incredible, and he's definitely the type of guy I want to play for. And his biggest thing for him, is person over player, and that's where I want to grow, not only as a football player, but as a man and a future husband for my wife to be, and at some point being a father. Those are that's what's important to me as I take this next step in my journey.
So you entered the transfer portal, and a lot of teams have offered you or did offer you before the commitment to Baylor. How quickly did someone contact you once your name was officially in the portal?
Within minutes, hours, I would say.
And do they just blow up your phone? How does that work?
Yeah, it's like high school all over again, just smashed into 1 week, 1 or 2 weeks in the process. So just text, calls, and I'm not too big on social media, but the Twitter was blowing up quite a bit too. And then just Baylor's, the whole coach, feeling the love from. I felt the love from the whole coaching staff from Baylor. You know, they all just played a big role in our decision coming to be in Waco.
Byron Vaughns, who was in town. He's a Utah State transfer who's coming in. I got a chance to visit with him. Did you get a chance to visit with him? And I can imagine your two personalities, if you did, had to be a lot of fun to be around.
Oh, definitely, yeah. So we were on the OV. We both took our OV this past weekend for the game. So it was nice to get with him, and he already committed. Me and him got along real well, and it's awesome that we'll be together next year. I know he'll be in a different room, position room than I am, but my fiance and I were just impressed with the quality of people they bring in. Coach Aranda brings in to the program as far as coaching staff, players, just everybody around it. So it's real big.
Trevin Ma'ae is with us, Oregon transfer defensive lineman who committed to Baylor, who's with us on 365 Sports. Academics, sometimes there's so many ways of being pulled different directions as a student athlete. How much has that been ingrained in your system, and how are you doing with that?
Oh, well, school's not a problem for me. Really, just whatever needs to be taken care of, I try to operate as a pro in everything I do. So whether it's school, football, family, anything off the field, it's a non-negotiable. It's just got to be done.
So you mentioned Tiana, right? That's your fiance?
Yes, it's actually pronounced Tiani.
Tiani, okay. And she said that he's great at taking care of me and our dog. What kind of dog is it?
She's a lab terrier.
That's an interesting mix there.
It is. She's about 50 pounds. She's very lovable, intelligent, too smart for her own good. So, yeah, she's a.
How you said too smart for her own good, or his boy or girl?
Girl. Her name is Mocha.
Mocha. Okay, where did that name come from?
Because I think she has part chocolate lab in her, so her coat, her fur is like that. It just made sense. And I'm a big coffee drinker, so the name and how she looks has just made sense.
That's awesome. Trev, we appreciate it. Tiani, appreciate her feedback. Now, when will you go to McDonald's next?
You know, I couldn't tell you right now. I did have some Canes, but I did have some Canes for lunch today. So it's just time to start eating right again. And who knows, maybe in a couple of weeks I'll end up at McDonald's. We'll see.
Yeah, the strength coach, Vic Valoria, is going to be on you about those McDonald's and McDoubles and all that. He's going to take care of that.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's important. Nutrition is important. And like I said, whatever needs to be handled off the field it's non-negotiable. It's going to get handled. So we're good on that.
So are you going to have to go back to Oregon, move? What is your schedule to get here? I would think on campus by what, early June?
So I'm still in school I'm still finishing up my spring semester at Oregon. And so I'm going to use this time while I'm in school because I have all online classes. I'll be making the transition and moving in within the next couple of weeks. Okay. And I'll be moved in sometime around May.
Hey, we appreciate it. Great personality. Congratulations. The Baylor fan base is obviously thrilled. I know the coaching staff has to be thrilled. Great to get to know you a little bit. We'll see you soon, and we'll start covering you. Trevin Ma'ae with us, Oregon defensive lineman, transfer to Baylor on 365 Sports. And again, thanks to Tiani for some of the information as well. 5 McDoubles, 5 McChickens, 20-piece chicken nuggets, and fries. 2 or 3 large fries, I think he said.
He said if he's hungry at the end. So that means that he's been hungry at the end after 10 sandwiches and 20 nuggets.
Yeah, and 20 chicken nuggets as well. Good personality, and listen, he's been told he's incredibly strong. He'll hold up to a lot of what's going on, and as we've discussed, Craig and Paul, the amount of snaps you can't get too many at that position because you're taking a beating or delivering one on every snap.
Yeah, that's a tough place to play, as you said, but that's why they, looked to Palage's, background, and clearly he saw somebody just a year ago that he liked the way that he operated, and that came in handy when, the transfer portal rolled back around to be able to, have a connection already established. Do they get Trevin Ma'ae if Matt Palage isn't at Oregon last year? Well, probably not, right? So good to have that connection, and good to have his addition. He does seem like he's a good guy, and will bring a lot to the table on and off the field as well. That's one heck of a McDonald's order. I was watching something is on the just go off course with a little bit of wrestling here, but like Roman Reigns and the Usos, for those that watch, have I believe a Samoan background, and I know there's a difference, to be very clear, Tongan, Samoan, all of that, but I believe that they also have very much a Samoan background, and mayonnaise is a big ingredient in a lot of the meals. Mayonnaise is how they described how the family members are able to get like barrel size. Is the mayonnaise institution in their in their eating and their recipes and whatnot. So I think maybe that's part of the secret ingredient. I know it's not a healthy ingredient, but I think that's part of it based on that video I watched a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure about if he has any on his McDonald's order, but it doesn't sound like that's really doing much of a difference either way, because I think that he's already pretty well lined up. But pack it on in a good way, and get ready to play a lot of snaps, like you said, because, they definitely have a need, and they'll be leaning on him.
One thing we know is Jennifer is not Samoan.
Well,
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Also may have nixed a Hawaiian honeymoon for Jennifer and Daniel.
No.
Yeah, true.
Just said they love mayonnaise. And they do. I was there last year. It was kind of surprising me because I didn't know, the first time I'd been there. But you go and you look at a menu, and there's a lot of things that have it mixed in that you wouldn't have normally said.
Mayonnaise?
Like,
Yeah.
You're like, well, I mean, I like mayonnaise, but
I do too.
Yeah.
I do on a sandwich, no doubt about it. Garrett Ross and Jack McKenzie's here. Emery Winter in our background, behind the scenes, but making us sound and look good if that's possible. Craig and Paul, I'm David Smoak. When we come back again, thanks to Trevin for being a part of the show. So Baylor probably has one more spot open. I think I saw where the cornerback position, we've discussed that, is probably one of a need. I just saw where a redshirt freshman corner at Oregon has entered the transfer portal. Not saying there's any connection there, but that's where Matthew Palage, of course, was last year as a co-defensive coordinator.
Well, based on my count, I think that cornerback might be, outside of special teams, and even special teams, they brought in a kicker. So without going specifically punter, long snapper, kicker, whatever, but they basically addressed every single position on the team other than cornerback. D lineman and Ma'ae, granted there's different positions, but it sounds like he's going to play different positions. But they also brought in Byron Vaughn as a D end. So there's an outside guy and an inside guy on the D line. They brought in 2 O linemen. They brought in a running back. They brought in a corner in Isaiah Dunston. So maybe actually they do already corner. I guess safety would be the one spot, like a specific spot really they didn't address. But kicker, tight end, wide receiver, running back, quarterback, linebacker. They've hit everything other than a safety. Yeah, I could see that. Or another corner, I could definitely see that as well, for sure.
Avante Dickerson is a defensive back from Omaha. Redshirt, I think sophomore is the one from Omaha Westside High School who has entered the portal, according to James Crepia, who joined us, of course, a lot of times talking about the Oregon Ducks and also the Pac-12. And that could be he could be headed to Nebraska, or he could be going to Colorado. He could be, who knows, even on the radar of other schools. All right, we're not done. We have a lot to get to today. Jalen McClendon, former Baylor and NC State quarterback, had a really nice finish to the XFL football season for the Las Vegas Vipers. Going to join us in about an hour. We'll hear from an NFL draft analyst in John Cooper a day before the draft. Joey McGuire, JJ Joe, John Machota, the top 5 and more. And this is 365 Sports. Petty Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway now proud to offer men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic and Wegovy. It's an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of the powerful medication offer an average body fat loss of about 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition, body sculpting semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has clinical research proof of reducing stroke and heart attack risk. If you're like most men, you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and possibly even exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco. Reach out to Dr. Kent Petty and his staff at pettycliniclowt.com for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender.
Dozens of 2023 Buicks are on the lot and priced to move at Richard Carr Buick. A prestigious luxury SUV without the luxury price. Experience the quiet escape and premium drive of a Buick SUV on a test drive today at Richard Carr. Right now, qualified buyers get a 2023 Buick Encore GX at 3.9% for 60 months, plus save $1,000 dealer discount or save $3,500 on a 2023 Buick Enclave Avenir in stock. See dealer for details.
Count on us, a dealer to trust. Richard Carr, Waco, Texas.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be a part of the Waco community. We're a small family business right here in Central Texas, and our goal is to bring down the cost of healthcare while maintaining high quality. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important, and unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. That's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through the difficult time. We offer premium MRIs just like a hospital with state-of-the-art technology and specialists, but you'll pay less. Sometimes thousands of dollars less, whether you're using insurance or not. At Ideal MRI, we accept most insurance and there are no hidden costs. Even offering financing if that's needed, everything included in the price, and you'll not get something as a surprise in the mail later on. If you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. They'll know. You can schedule an appointment safely from home online in minutes at idealmri.com or give us a call, 833-IDEAL-MRI, idealmri.com.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive is premier, elite, life-changing experience where you can change your mind, body, and soul. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness offers over 40 group exercise classes each week, including boot camp, indoor cycling, and more. If you haven't been there in quite some time, you're missing out on the improvements for our members. New flooring in the weight room and locker room, new paint and mirrors added in the weight room and group exercise room, with more new machines arriving over the next few months. New free weights, weight machines, TRX rowing machines, stationary bikes, new treadmills, new elliptical machines on spacious weight room floor. Personal training with Christy London, Randall Corley, and Alex Botch, where you will be encouraged and motivated to grow. There's sauna, whirlpool, tanning bed, and kids club. The amenities are great. 16 tennis courts plus an 1,100-seat stadium court, 8 pickleball courts, youth and adult tennis and pickleball lessons. Visit our website, wacotennis.com, or visit Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
NFL draft is tomorrow, so this is the eve of the draft. And I saw this. I thought this was interesting for us to kind of chew up a little bit, discuss. Here's the first tweet from Jay Glazer, Fox Sports. By the way, I also think teams are outsmarting themselves on Bijan Robinson. He's top 5 on many boards, but they also have that. You don't take a running back high, you get great value, get value later. If he's top 5, trust your board. Okay, so that's from Jay Glazer. I butchered up half of what he said. But the bottom line is trust your board, draft the talent. At running back or not, no matter what the thoughts are. Then Sam Monson from Pro Football Focus, I don't think that's overthinking. It's just thinking about appropriately. He's better than other players in abstract terms, but how much better versus the value of others determines where you draft him. That's the calculation you need to make. And then finally this from Honest NFL. It's not a coincidence that most efficient and explosive rushing teams manufacture the yardage in ways that are running back agnostic. Running back 1, 10th overall, may increase that by a small margin. But wide receiver 10 or tight end 4 in the third round would create even more space to exploit and blow the doors off.
Yeah, maybe so. I think when it comes to a guy like Bijan Robinson, who is head and shoulders above every other player in the class, and that's no knock to like Jahmyr Gibbs or Devin A. Chain, who are also good running backs and could have long NFL careers. Bijan's just a bit of a unique player. I do think, though, that the value conversation comes into what is the value right now. So for a team like the Cowboys, who that is a definite position of need in a time in the NFC that they haven't seen in a long time, where they've got the longest tenured quarterback, Aaron Rodgers is like all these things. Tom Brady's not there anymore. There's all these great things going on in the NFC around the Cowboys that they need to capitalize on. So it would not be foolish of them to spend a first-round pick on a running back. Now, they're not going to be in the top 10. They're not going to trade into the top 10. But for them, it would make sense if, say, they were. It worked out for them. Look, even though Zeke, didn't pan out through parts of the second contract, drafting him when they did helped them turn into what they've become. So it was worth it for them for the time that they did it. He became not worth it in the last season and a half, really. So, yeah, I agree with Jay Glazer's first thing. It's like, look, it depends on who it's worth it to. Now, is drafting Bijan Robinson worth it to a team like the Cardinals, who are bad? Like, by the time his contract's over, are they going to be good enough to where it really helps them? Probably not. Are the Texans, is it worth it to the Texans, even though they've got some running backs on their roster, to spend one of their high picks on Bijan Robinson? No, probably not. But to other teams in other positions, like, for example, the Eagles are in the top 10. They're just playing in the Super Bowl. It may not be a bad idea for them to have a young player to pair with Jalen Hurts for the next couple of years that could really take them over the top. So that's where, to me, it makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot more insight than what Paul said, really. I mean, it's up to the individual. I mean, really how you want to view it. I mean, clearly just that alone, 3 tweets, everybody's got a slightly different or, altering opinion. So, I think if you polled everybody, you'd probably get a pretty distinct split of those who think that Bijan's a different maker and a different type of player than just your average top 10 talented running back, and those who feel like Bijan or whoever is, it's not worth it. So, yeah, I mean, I think it depends a lot on the team that you have. It depends a lot on your picks. It depends a lot on a lot of different factors. It's not just so simple as is Bijan Robinson top 10 worthy or not. I mean, what's worthy mean? Is he top 10 worthy for your specific team, or is he just top 10 worthy in general? We could, run in circles arguing that, but that would be pointless. We'll see tomorrow night. That's what I look forward to, is we'll see tomorrow night. I've heard enough about Bijan. I like Bijan. Bijan is a great dude based on my own experience, which is very limited, and based on the experience of others that I know, and based on the experience of others that have a good amount of time around him. I've never heard a bad word about him. I wish him the best. And I think he's going to be a great pro. But at this point, now I just want to see where he's going. I want to stop hearing about Philadelphia mock drafts and could the Cowboys get him. And, that's all been fun. I know we're going to speculate some more a little bit later on. But he in particular is like the whatever I hit in the algorithm, I can't avoid speculation surrounding him for the fourth week in a row now. So I look forward to seeing the articles about where he actually is. And then we can go from there, because – isn't him going to the Eagles a lot different than him going
to San Diego? LA Chargers,
LA or to Houston. I mean, I know he's not going, but you know what I mean? There's a difference in not all those teams are the exact same situations that are picking up near the top part of the draft. So, yeah, him going to Philadelphia is a bit different than him going to a bunch of those other teams in that same range. So, yeah, he'd be great for the Eagles. He'll be great for whoever, but I do think it depends on the situation of the team that we're talking about specifically, not just some generalized take. I don't think that's it.
Well, no, and Philadelphia with that 10th pick, they didn't have to have a star running back. Sanders is good, but he's not a star. He's good, right? And they had Boston Scott, among others, Gainwell, whatever.
Gainwell, yeah.
Yeah. From Juan M. on the McCaskill story in the transfer portal, wherever he goes, good luck. Whole situation reminds me of the De'Aaron King situation when he, of course, went to Miami. Allen trained Derek was different. Alton is looking out for his family. Great kid. I'm not disappointed in him at all. I wish him the best and wherever he may go cheer. And that's I'll cheer for him. That's kind of what Dana Holgorsen said, which I loved, again, the way he responded. There was one comment about, so if Colorado's involved, there's something up. Colorado would be involved in every single player that enters the transfer portal because of the number of times they have to fill a roster. That's the up. And, was there any early conversation? Heck, Baylor just got the kid that played at Oregon with Matthew Pallage there. People are getting transfers all the time. You do wonder about some of the kind of conversations, if any, that might be going on before somebody does enter the transfer.
Yeah, I mean, are we trying to pretend like there's not some type of tampering going on pretty much all over? So you're pointing to my comment, and I was just saying that, it's kind of funny that less than 5 minutes after that it's announced that he's going to the portal, you've got probably the most well-recognized sports writer in the country mention a specific school. And you can take that as because they're the school that has a lot of open spots. And that's the way you see it, that's fine. You could also take it as okay, well, is there a link there already? Is there something Bruce knows that we don't? You can take it that way too, that's fine. It does seem like a little suspicious that that's the school mentioned, but again, that could be because of the numbers. But man, those Deion defenders are out in full force, man. I wish Alton McCaskill the best of luck, but there's a lot of really sensitive folks that if you even make a comment about how the roster's coming together, it's so you think that blah, blah, blah's not okay. And it's just talking like we would about it in general. If they said specifically, watch out for Texas and Steve Sarkisian, I'd be why watch out for them specifically? What is the connection there? If it said specifically, watch out for Lincoln Riley and USC, I'd be why is that the one team being mentioned? But yeah, Colorado makes sense because there's a lot of open spots. But I'm with everybody else. I think he's a great player. I hope he can stay healthy coming off of that injury a year ago. And if Deion gets him, that'll be great. A great pickup for the Buffaloes.
From Des Garrett, who's the one that said that. I'm not being sensitive. I'm not throwing accusations out of my ass. Okay, Des. Of course, they'd be involved. They don't have any players. To say if Colorado's involved, something up doesn't make sense. Bruce Feldman is one of the elite writers in college football who has sources in every program. That's what we said. We quoted Bruce Feldman. Des, I hope that you get who you need at Colorado. And I hope you understand we don't throw shit against the wall. Ever. This is 365 Sports. We'll hear from John Cooper, our lad's guide to the NFL draft. He is next. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. They have cars, they have trucks, they have SUVs. It's the Jeep Celebration event that's going on right now. and I'll get to some of that for you in a minute. This Ram Truck Month, which really, Ram Truck Month at Allen Samuels is constant because the Ram truck and all the awards and the honors they rack up with what they have, including this value right now at Allen Samuels. 2023 Ram, 1,500 crew cab Lone Stars, $4,250 in values, plus 4.9% financing for 72 months. There's the 2022 Ram 1,500 crew cab Lone Star, 10% off MSRP, or take 1.9% for 72 months. On top of that, the 2023 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited, $5,500 in total values during the Jeep Celebration event. They have cars, they have trucks, they have SUVs. They're looking for quality pre-owned cars, and maybe if you have that and you want to trade up, they're going to give you a better dollar for that than you're going to get pretty much everywhere else. Ted Teague, the general manager. AJ's great at helping you through the process of buying a vehicle. Allen Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
TFNB, your bank for life, is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texas are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB, your bank for life. Member FDIC.
In Texas, there's pea-size hail and baseball-size hail. Guess which one hit our house? We didn't even know where to begin, but we called our Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent, and he was so reassuring. He knew exactly what to do to get our house back into shape and our lives back to normal. Now, we're even more thankful for the roof over our heads.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Boots add protection. Good boots help you climb better and move forward faster. And when your son or daughter steps into the boots of a U.S. Army officer, they also learn how to lead. In these boots, they'll gain more confidence with expert training in one of more than 150 occupational specialties. In these boots, they'll stand a little taller and lead a team with diverse backgrounds and areas of expertise to successfully accomplish whatever challenge comes next. In these boots, they'll earn respect with valuable experience from day one that will give them solid footing for success into the future. Highly qualified candidates who earn a spot on our team can receive comprehensive health care coverage, college tuition assistance, and a bonus of up to $40,000. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive, North 19th Street, right behind the bank, is a hidden gem in Waco. If you're a fan of bourbon, especially local Texas bourbons, that's where you gotta go. Balcones, TX, Devil's River, whatever it is, they've got it. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, plus the best selection of craft beers in Waco, seasonally churned out throughout the year. Whether it's spring, summer, fall, or winter, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, best selection of craft beers, a speedy drive-through window, and excellent customer service. Find out more on Instagram or just go by and see them. Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street behind the bank.
Waco Custom Marketplace is your hometown grocery store with a full-service butcher shop and bakery. Hi, this is David Smoak. The butcher shop can take your customized orders for seafood, pork, and poultry and custom cut your favorite steaks from bacon-wrapped fillets to T-bone to bone-in ribeyes. Cut specifically the way you want. They have Norwegian salmon fillets, catfish fillets, sliced ham or turkey and lunch meat, variety of cheese available, and several options of sausage links. Fresh chicken chicken breast or whole chickens, sliced bacon, pork chops, ground beef, marinated beef, and chicken fajitas. And always large briskets available, plus fresh vegetables. So the great product, customer service, and family tradition of the Bauer family continues at Waco Custom Marketplace, open Monday through Saturday. A full-service butcher shop and bakery available. Waco Custom Marketplace, 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco, or WacoCustomMarketplace.com.
This is 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com.
The 4 o'clock hour is sponsored by Boozer's Jewelers, the wedding ring store, specializing in custom jewelry and repair, all in-house.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
John Cooper has been our go-to when it comes to the NFL draft as an analyst. He's been with us, I think, the last 5 or 6 weeks, including today, the day before the 2023 NFL draft. John, how much of this Will Levis thing do you believe as far as him jumping up the charts and whatever was out there and the odds in Vegas, et cetera? Is that just the stuff that people throw against the wall and maybe even speculation started by teams that want others to fall?
This is something new to me, to be honest with you. That S2 cognition test, is relatively new. I know the Wonderlic's been around for a while. And how much that's supposedly the driving force behind this is from what I'm hearing. Stroud's dropping down to number 4 or 5 or whatever it is. And, I go back to what, an old GM told me. He says, listen to that stuff, but only believe about a third of it. And so until it's kind of like I'm going to see it when I believe it. I wouldn't go that route. I still see some issues in terms of mechanics, but if a quarterback coach thinks this guy's really got it, the general manager and the scouts, this guy can do it, we can correct those flaws, and his inconsistencies in college don't matter because he's got the talent that we can make something out of. And he does have a lot of talent for sure. But I just find it hard to believe he'd be the first guy. But hey, could happen.
John, the popular opinion out of Houston seems to be that at least at number 2, they're not going to draft a quarterback. Does that shock you?
That does surprise me, considering the situation they're in. But again, that could be Smoak too. And they, on the other hand, they might want to trade down and get some players because they could use some.
John, how much does, if at all, the trade of Aaron Rodgers shake things up in general for both teams involved, Packers and the Jets?
Well, it helps the Packers, I think, because they get so they move up a couple of places, and I don't know what they're looking for, but I have an idea that they would really like to get an impact offensive player, a receiver or tight end. I think tight ends, they wouldn't have a problem getting where they were, but maybe they want that receiver from Ohio State, Smith Nijba. And if that's the case, then I could, that kind of makes a little bit of sense, in terms of what they're going to get. They also picked up another second-round pick, and they've got some positional needs that they'll be able to address with those 2 picks. So I think it helps the Packers. The Jets get Rodgers. That's the bottom line. They get Rodgers, and they lose a good second-round pick. So, I don't know who the winner of that is. If Rodgers takes them to the promised land, it's a win for both.
The Tyree Wilson at Tech and then also Will Anderson from Alabama, who do you like the best?
Well, I like Will Anderson the best. I think he's the most consistent player of the 2. I mean, he's a different player. He's primarily on the edge guy, bend and squeeze to the quarterback, turns quickness into power. Wilson is more of a power player. He's got some work to do, I think, on technique. That doesn't mean he doesn't have quickness on the edge. He does. He's also got versatility to move around the defensive line. He play a little 3 technique in passing situations as well as play on that edge. I mean, he fits a 4-3 really well as a defensive end. He's a solid player, obviously. So there's a difference. You're going to use Anderson primarily as an edge guy, period.
John, could we see maybe 6 cornerbacks go in the first round when you talk about Christian Gonzalez, Joey Porter Jr., Deontay Banks, Julius Brents? I'm leaving 2 out. Emmanuel Forbes, maybe one more.
Yeah, Joey Porter Jr.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Cam Smith, even possibly. You can go all the way down to Kaylee Ringo, who he was going into this season was considered to be the best cornerback coming out, and he's still the same guy. He just didn't play as well as expected. There were some mistakes that he made. He was a little lazy, I think, in terms of letting receivers get up on his toes, and he gave up a lot more play. I should say a lot more. He gave up more plays than you think. But if you watch the TCU game at the very end there, he did a great job on Quentin Johnson. So he's an elite talent, and it wouldn't shock me if he went in the first round. It's a good year for corners. Deonte Banks, I mean, there could be 7, that have first-round grades on them.
John, what are the major differences that you see between Bijan Robinson and Jahmyr Gibbs, just in breaking down the different types of players they are? And obviously those two have been kind of the talk of the running back town, but is there anybody that's close to that in your mind that we could see going relatively early?
No, not really. I think, Gibbs is a great player. He's got good speed. He does a lot of things well, but the guy we're talking about, Robinson, is what I would consider an elite running back. I mean, he's a guy that can do it all. He's got good hands. He's going to help you in the passing game. He's not just, a move the chains running back. He can hit home runs. I mean, look at his speed. Look at some of the runs he's made. And Gibbs is a speed back, I think, primarily. That doesn't mean he's not a really good running back, but I think there's a little bit of a drop off between him and Robinson.
Who is the player, John, that then fires up the rest of the first round? Because Bryce Young, Will Anderson, whatever, and I know it might be the quarterback position, but is there a player, and could it be Bijan? Because there's thoughts he could go as high to Philly at 10, who knows, or all the way down towards the end of the first round. Who is the one guy that maybe just catapults the whole first round into chaos?
That's a great one. Bijan Robinson, if he went that high to a team that strictly looked at the talent level of the player and he wasn't necessarily best player available at a position of need, that would change things a little bit. But either way, if he goes at one of those spots, it's not going to cause a run on running backs. I think the running backs are going to go where they're going to go. I think what you're looking at is a lot of people are looking at the offensive tackle position, the edge rusher position. I think once those guys start going off the board, I think you're going to see a run. I think all those tackles, Skoronski, Johnson, Jones, Harrison, they all, especially the first 3 in our mind anyway. I know Wright's getting some play right now, but they're going to go pretty close as people start to see, I need that tackle. I need that really badly. I think the Bears are a key team there because, when you get to the Bears, they need the edge rusher. They need the offensive lineman. And so they could start to run, so to speak, on either one of those 2 positions.
I bet you there's a ton of people in Chicago hoping for Peter Skoronski there. I mean, there's no more Chicago thing than being a tackle for Northwestern and then going to the Bears.
Well, his grandpa was a former Packer tackle, that, so that's a little bit of a problem.
Oh, yeah.
But the bottom line is, he's a great player, and I know he's got to be on the Bears' radar. And that's kind of where we see that run starting. There's kind of a mini run on the corners. We think that Witherspoon and Gonzalez are top 10 corners, and they may not both go in the top 10, but we think we could see something like 3 edge rushers going right in a row, or 3 tackles going right in a row, or both. In those maybe 9 to 14 area. Then I think you're going to see one of those receivers is going to go up pretty high. We think the edge rushers obviously is critical. And we have actually 7 guys that could have first round grades as edge rushers. So it's and maybe 4 or 5 tackles. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there.
John, I guess when all is said and done, we'll know tomorrow night. But Jalen Carter, I guess the incident that happened a couple months back didn't seem to have, outside of the initial reaction, too much of a
of an effect on his draft stock, or did it? And was that just kind of one of those things that behind the scenes the teams worked at and just, were able to check off the boxes they needed to make sure that there's nothing to worry about there?
Well, he's had enough visits and he's talked to enough people both at the combine and after the combine, and I got to believe teams are pretty well sold on whether they're going to keep him on their board or not. And I think 90% of the teams would have him on their board still. So he's a talented player. He's got some maturity issues, most likely, that are going to have to be worked on. But there's an awful lot of guys his age that have that. So it's not like these NFL teams haven't dealt with that before. So, I don't think it's going to affect his status that much. He's not the number one player in the draft in our minds. But, he's going to be in the top five or six, we think.
Do you feel like that Devin Achane, obviously there's going to be people who look at his size. He could also do something with special teams. He's dynamic, but he is a Saturday draft pick, or do you feel like that maybe by the end of the day on Friday he will be picked?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've got him definitely as we got him as a fairly solid third-round pick for us. So we think he's got great speed. I mean, you can't teach that. That's one thing of all the things you can teach. You can't teach that. And he's got a burst. And he can get in and out of traffic. He can do a lot of. He's a good speed back. He's a change of pace back. He's going to make a nice back for somebody. And we see him as an upper third-round pick.
John Cooper, Our Lad's Guide to the NFL Draft, with us on 365 Sports. The draft, of course, the first round is tomorrow in Kansas City.
John, what do you think that the Seahawks will do with 5 and 20?
We think that Jalen Carter will be their pick at 5, simply because it's a need. He's too good to pass up. And I don't think there's another player, unless Will Anderson has fallen down there, that they would consider there. That's just our opinion. That's how we see it. And then down there at 20, they could use some big people. So one of those offensive tackles, could go there. They need a guard. Osiris Torrance, could be a pick. That's who, our mock draft that was done in March. We only do one. We don't love to do them. But that's what the computer spit it out for us. So, but there's some solid, football players that are going to be available there, whether they want to go with somebody, on the edge at that point, an offensive lineman, depends on what they think is the best player available in a position of need.
John, I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, I saw something that Quentin Johnston at TCU, is a local high school player here from Temple, had a great year, but that he was the biggest risk-reward wide receiver in the first day or second day. Do you believe that?
No, I think he's going to be a really solid player. I looked at all the stats and I looked at all the things that people are writing about him. They're looking at an 11% drop rate, which isn't obscene. It's not great, but an awful lot of times targeted he was. So, he's a very productive receiver. He's got great length. He's got speed, and he runs good routes. The hands thing, there's some, I guess you'd say, high-profile drops that he's had. And they talk about him being a body catcher. Well, sometimes he's that tall, the ball gets to him, about nose level, and you're that tall, you're going to catch the ball a little closer to your body than you should. But I don't necessarily say he's a body catcher is one of the criticisms that I hear from the pundits. And I've watched him. I like him. I think he's got some correctable flaws as far as receiver is concerned. From everything I've heard, he's a hard worker, and he's the kind of guy that is going to develop into a good receiver. I don't see him as a risk pick, at all. But again, my opinion is one opinion among many. So you just don't know until you get him in your room and start throwing balls to him.
I know that Bijan gets a lot of the attention because he's pretty much the number one running back, Gibbs, who Paul brought up at Alabama. But I like and always have liked the style of Roschon Johnson in the NFL, maybe even more so than college. Now, I don't know about his pure raw speed, but he's a banger. He's a physical player. And could he be one of those where somebody that's going to have running back by committee would be interested in him maybe earlier than we think?
That's a possibility. We don't see him going, terribly high, but, he's a power runner, and, you need that guy. I mean, the team that comes to mind for me is the Ravens with, the kid from Ohio State and Gus Edwards, Gus the Buff. That's a good combination of inside and outside hard runner that isn't, completely, devoid of ability to get out there around the edge and turn the corner. And I think, Johnson's shot is similar to that. He's a guy that he's not terrible. He's not slow, but he's not a burner. He's not necessarily a agility and traffic guy. I mean, I think the 40 they had on him was in the 4.5, so he's not the burner, but he's a former quarterback, so he's got some agility, and he's a power back, and he's got a little bit of a burst to get around the corner. So, he's not a bad player.
I had one more question from the chat room about Case Keenum signing with the Texans. Obviously, Davis Mills right now is their quarterback. There's a really good chance it might end up being maybe C.J. Stroud, Levis, or Bryce Young, whatever happens there. Was he hired? Was he signed to be more of a coach for whoever they get? Or was he, and he can obviously be a workman-like veteran, a great guy to have on the depth chart, but will he be more of a coach, you think, for them?
Well, the thing, it's a new deal this year. You got to have 3 quarterbacks dressed for every game. So everybody's going to have a quarterback, a third quarterback. And you don't want a guy that's just a practice squad player to be that third guy. So, and Case Keenum's really smart. So you could say that about him. He's got a great football IQ. He's been around for a while. I mean, he's not the most gifted quarterback in the world, but he is a smart football player. And yes, having a guy like that in your quarterback room is definitely going to help whoever they have it as a starting quarterback, whether it's Mills, fairly young guy, where they draft somebody. You're gonna have a quality player to go along with him.
John, we can't thank you enough for all the knowledge you've dropped on us and with us and for our audience the last month and a half. We appreciate you. Hope Dan's doing better and better with Our Lad's guy, Dan Shanka, who I've known for 2 decades. We appreciate your time.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're really good at what you do. John Cooper, Our Lad's Scouting Service, and Dan Shanka we've had on so many times. A guy named Jim Sabo back in the day. Really appreciate what they do. They're really a good site, great site for the NFL draft. And they have mocks and all that, but they don't do it just based on they kind of say this is who fits more than what maybe others might say. It's a very refreshing type look at it.
You know how hard it is to really do a mock draft and nail them all. Rick Gosselin did one a few years ago where he got half the picks right. And if you ask Rick about that, he'd be like, I don't even, and he did as much work on it as anybody.
Yeah, I missed that. I missed that. It was in the morning news, and now he still does some of his own podcast. When we come back, Texas Tech football coach Joey McGuire, things have wrapped up for them with their spring drills and spring workouts and spring game. His thoughts about, Tyree Wilson and all the attention he's getting, but also the Red Raiders off 8-5 and ended the season on a high. Next on 365 Sports. IdealMRI.com in the Central Texas marketplace on the southern part of Waco off I-35 is a place that I've gotten to know pretty well. Not just because I endorse them, but because I have been there with MRIs on my shoulder, my lower back, and my prostate, and then also on my other shoulder. It's a really great place. Their technology, the MRI machine, is second to none. It's phenomenal. There's not a long waiting line. It doesn't mean you're just going to call one morning and get in by 10 o'clock that morning because they have people there all the time. But when you get there, there's maybe 1 or 2 people in the waiting room, and that's about it. And then someone will walk out after they have had their MRI and their treatment, and then somebody else is in. It's not going to be 45 minutes to an hour of a wait. Dr. Rob Maxey and his staff have created an amazing place. $497 or less every single time. When I first heard that, I didn't believe it, but I've been a part of that. In fact, I paid $400 for my last MRI 2 or 3 weeks ago. They're in the Central Texas marketplace. They will find out what is bothering you. If your doctor wants an MRI, you tell them. IdealMRI.com.
It takes time to reach goals. It's a truth that applies to more than sports. It goes for your financial goals as well. You work hard for your money, and you deserve an investment strategy that lines up with your game plan. And Chuck Verno, your Edward Jones financial advisor, can help. If financial investments aren't putting forth the effort you desire, stop by today for a financial review. Chuck Verno, 720 North 64th Street in Waco, 254-732-1161. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers and everybody the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store.
This is 365 Sports. Are you a Sikkim 365 super fan? Then try out our premium subscriptions at Sikkim365.com.
Texas Tech football coach Joey McGuire joins us. Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. I'm David Smoak on 365 Sports. Spring has wrapped up. Joey, thanks for your time. The transfer portal is still in effect until basically the end of the week. How much has that affected how you go about doing what you do with your roster? And thanks for your time, by the way.
Man, it's great to talk to you guys. I'm always happy to be on with you. Yeah, it's different. I mean, you're constantly looking at guys, even if you're, not going to add anybody or maybe you have a spot and you're deep at that spot. But I think you're constantly looking at how to get your roster better. And then you're also, I got a couple of guys that I think we're in great shape. We did our exit meetings on Monday and Tuesday, and everybody's in good shape. But you always hold your breath, too, because you never know in this day and age who's going to try to talk to who. And And, we all know it happens. And so kind of hold my breath right now until that window closes. But, I really feel good about our team. And then we have a couple spots that we possibly could add some guys.
Coach, how different is this post-spring compared to last year as far as what you know as opposed to maybe in year one what you think you know?
A lot different. I mean, it's funny. Both the quarterbacks were like, Coach, this is the first time in college football that we've been in the same system for multiple years. And so you could tell a big difference there. We were able to do some different things to where our last, probably 2 or 3 practices, we treated it like bowl practices to where we practiced everybody at the start of practice. And then we sent the old guys in and really focused on getting as many reps as possible with the young guys, because we really are an older team on both sides of the ball. We have 10 starters back on offense and 8 starters that started in the bowl game. And so we're able to get our young guys a lot of reps. So a lot different than last year.
Coach, what would you say is sort of the theme entering, or exiting, I guess, spring ball, kind of entering these summer months? What's just kind of the theme around Texas Tech football right now, the mindset?
Being the best version of ourselves, being real honest with our guys of where we have to improve. I've told this from, really whenever they started buying in, we have a really healthy locker room. We have a team that really cares about each other. They come to school and to work every day and they have a great attitude. We have a lot of great things going on. And so it's really like, hey, here's what we have to work on, and this is how you have to work on it. And I also said, you're going to get a little time off whenever finals are over. Let's make sure when you leave here that you come back, in the shape that we don't need, big guys 10, 15, 20 pounds heavier. And then we also don't need guys, that go home and lose a bunch of weight either. And so, just making the main thing and concentrating on what we need to do to get better.
You told me one time that even with all of what you're trying to manage and juggle and still learn as a head coach, even though you had the incredible run at Cedar Hill, but college football is so much different in a lot of ways, that you're always watching what others are doing. How much time do you have in a day?
I try to use every bit of it. It's funny. Sean Bell is one of my favorite people in the entire world and a very good friend of mine. My Reagan's getting married on May 6th, and he and Haley will be there. And, I just sent him a text. I watched West Virginia, BYU, TCU, Baylor, and we're not playing OU, but I put them on. And, that's what I've been doing today between exit meetings, is kind of watching everybody's spring games and, just shooting him a text, telling him to have fun on the road recruiting. And, that I thought they looked really good. So I'm always looking for things of how we can get better, what is good for our program, and how I can grow as a head coach.
Coach, what are your thoughts on the new rules? There's less time on the road recruiting. The clock rules are going to be different. You guys run at breakneck speed anyway, so you've kind of been preparing for this change for a while as it stands. But just from your perspective, what changes in kind of daily life as a coach now that you're not recruiting on the road as much, and now you have to prepare games a little differently because the clock's going to move faster?
Well, that there was a couple of crazy rules out there, and I'm glad that they didn't pass as far as when we're talking about the game. At least in the NFL, we have seen that game being played where, the clock doesn't stop on first down. And, I understand it because we're talking about in 2024 expanding the playoffs. So their mindset is really not shortening the game, but shortening the amount of snaps and impacts these players are going to take throughout the season. So totally get that. Whenever I looked at you could take as many official visits as you want. We're not going to change what we do. You're still only getting the same amount of visits whenever it comes to the college. The national average is 3 visits a player. So I didn't understand that rule, but I am very frustrated with the shortening of the rule of the recruiting. I think from 128 to 140. I hate losing those days. Really frustrating because I think it diminishes high school recruiting even more. And I called different people on that, that football oversight committee and, just said what I thought. And, we've got the Big 12 meetings coming up next week. And, I'm going to ask about that stuff because, there's the stuff that they're justifying why doesn't make any sense to me. The two big reasons are quality of life, and there's so many other rules that you could change that doesn't take away from recruiting. And then there's, they talked about being on campus more. Well, our guys are in a discretionary weekend and you're going into finals and then going home. So I don't understand how we're around our players anymore during that time of year, and that's when you're taking away our recruiting days. So, new rules, you just got to adapt and find ways to be the best at it and hope that, you can kind of change those back if possible. But that was the one out of everything that, I was against.
Coach, and on the recruiting visits, is it, I guess, discretion? The school still has to have the same amount of visits, but the players can have unlimited? Am I reading that correctly? Or could you, if you wanted to, have 150 official visits hosted at Texas Tech? Can you clear that up?
No, I still get the same amount,
Okay,
and it's crazy. I've got, out of the guys that we're recruiting now, I think there's one guy that has 5 visits set up. I think last year, my first, I had one guy that took all 5. I mean, guys, I was a coach for 23 years, and I coached some pretty good dudes. I mean, some highly ranked, recruited by everybody in the country, and I didn't have any kid take 5 visits. And if there would have been a 6th, I wouldn't have had anybody take 5 visits. I mean, you get to a point to where, you know where you're going, and you get to a point also that, that you get tired of it. You get, once you kind of realize, I mean, you get tired of the recruiting process. I mean, all the guys that I've been, associated with. And so, I mean, I get it. I'm sure that was really pushed by more of the student side, and, that's fine. I don't think it affects things as much as what everybody, thinks it will. There's other rules out there that were passed that definitely affect recruiting a lot more than those.
So I was looking at your schedule. You guys open up on the road, interesting trip to Wyoming, and then you'll have Oregon back, a game that's already been pretty heavily talked about, and that's going to be, I would imagine, a pretty crazy atmosphere. But this is the changeover in the Big 12, so for the first time in a while, teams aren't playing everybody. You don't play either one of the Oklahoma schools or Iowa State. When you first got the schedule, what was your kind of, routine in looking it over, and just any thoughts on a little bit of a disruption and what has been the norm these last several years?
Well, I'm excited about the new, the 4 new schools coming in. I mean, I was there in 21 whenever we played BYU at home, whenever I was at Baylor, and man, that's going to be a great game. I'm excited to go out there. So the new guys coming in, I think it makes the conference even more competitive, but it's also, it's kind of like whenever the Southwest Conference kind of changed. I hate that we're not playing Oklahoma State, and I hate that we're not playing Oklahoma. I mean, those are schools that you're used to playing, but at the end of the day, everything kind of changes, and this year will be kind of a weird year for everybody, and then it'll start getting a little bit normal. But who knows? We might expand too. I'm sure the ADs have a lot better idea of what that looks like. But I do think college football is changing, and I think we'll have a new Big 12 because I do think it's a great conference. It's a very competitive conference in every sport, and you're talking about a lot of different time zones that the Big 12 can be shown in and showcased in, and so excited about that.
Coach, one of those changes coming is the 12-team playoff, where now, you can adapt to maybe some early season losses or even, ones that come late if you've rolled along the right way. How much does that change how you can approach just building a program altogether and telling kids about their opportunity to come to Texas Tech?
Well, I'm excited. I'm excited for the opportunity, and I was excited that TCU got in the Final Four. From the standpoint of showcasing the Big 12, and 2019 and 2021, we were right there at Baylor knocking on the door to be in that Final Four, and so I think it's going to help. To where you're going to have a Big 12 team for sure in the playoffs, and possibly two, depending on how your year goes. And I think that's really, really good. I think it's really important because I think we do play really good football, and it's just going to help grow the brand, of the Big 12 and really showcase a really good conference.
How are those exit interviews for you? You have so much energy, positivity, but there's also truth serum about what players need to do and how much they need to work on. And then again, you give them an idea of what's next. That's 85, 105? How many of those do you do, and how do those go?
Yeah, there's some really, you try to, you don't even try. You're just as truthful the way you see it. And there's a lot of great things that come in there where guys have grown, over this semester and where they're heading. There's a lot of that. And then there's also a lot of, where do you see yourself? And is that unrealistic, or is that, are you working towards that? And so there's some really tough conversations, but you have to have them, because at the end of the day, I had a parent years and years ago tell me, at least I get to process what the truth is, and I get to decide if I'm okay with that or not, whether it's staying at the time at Cedar Hill or not. And, so they're tough. There's some that are really tough conversations. But if you're having them throughout the year and you're having, coming back from the bowl game and, hey, this is where you have to get better, and just continuing, then nothing's a shock. That's the one thing that I really believe. Nobody came into my office and was in a shock, good or bad, critical, positive. There wasn't a shock because we try to continue to, again, try to get 1% better. I've heard it from Matt and Dave. That's what they talked about, being the best version of yourselves. I know y'all, you hear that a lot. And so to do that, you got to be talking about it all the time and what you have to work on. And so I don't think anybody was shocked, but they're uncomfortable sometimes, they're, as far as, exactly where these guys are.
Do you think it changes how you speak to them at all? You still have to be you and they have to be who they are because of the transfer portal being so volatile?
Now, whenever it comes to coaching, I think, number one, if you are really in it for them, and we are, and we're talking about the total person, there's a lot of great things. We had our highest GPA ever in Texas Tech football the fall semester during football. And so whenever you're constantly trying to make them who they're trying to become as a man, then, I think those conversations, they understand. And then, we've had some guys that I thought might get in that didn't, and they understand where the direction we're going. And then we've had some guys get in and I totally understand it. You just gotta know this is the day and age. This is the nature of the beast, and I'm still going to care and love about our kids, and so I think that at the end of the day is going to help us whenever it comes down to who's talking to them and stuff like that, because it's usually not the player, it's usually the outside voices. Mm-hmm. It's usually whether it's an agent, whether it's a coach at a different place, or even their parents or their high school coach. It's usually the outside voices. The players, unless they're, almost living on a different planet, they understand the reality and what they have to do to work to get better.
Coach, it is a different world because of NIL stuff like that, but I know that there are parts of when you're talking to a recruit that largely remain the same, your results and your success and your vision and things like that. And also, putting guys into the pros. And I can't even imagine, I don't even know if you could quantify how much having a guy like Patrick Mahomes means to your football program to be able to point towards too. But tomorrow night, you're going to have another very high-profile guy entering the league in Tyree Wilson at some point pretty early on. In this day and age, how much does being able to point to a Patrick Mahomes, I mean, that's one-on-one right there. But to have a Tyree Wilson go in and to have that NFL-proven kind of star power, how much does that matter for a college football program?
No, I think it's huge. It's going to be incredible. I'm flying out there tomorrow and get to be a part of it. And you can't thank Tyree enough for inviting me and really excited. And I think it's really big because those guys, I don't know if there's a guy out there that flies the college flag and 100% Texas Tech college flag more than Patrick Mahomes. He's really proud of where he comes from. And, Tyree's that guy too. He's really, really proud of where he comes from. And he's been a huge help whenever it comes to, he was a great host when we recruited guys. One of our starting outside linebackers, Miles Cole, he transferred in. Tyree was his host, and I thought he did a good job painting a picture of who he could be. And now we're seeing the success Tyree had. I go back, I always talk to you guys about two guys because you are so familiar with them, with Matt and Dave. But the thing about Coach Roll I'll never forget is he would always, it's been just beat in my head, that player is supposed to play the best football under you. And that was what was so great with Tyree. He had his best year. He played his best football. And, he gives a lot of credit to our strength staff and, our nutrition staff, and especially DeRuiter and CJIU, his position coach. And can't thank him enough, for what he's done and what he's going to do for Texas Tech.
Joe, if you don't mind, we always appreciate your time to have one of the Division I coaches on with us. We're lucky to get a handful, including you. The stadium renovations, I've seen pictures and growth and the arms race of college athletics, what you're doing. I know I've seen cranes on the Baylor campus and Oklahoma State. They did not have a spring game so they could get right to the work at T. Boone's Pickens and all these places that are going up. Your thoughts as you marvel at what you see out your window or whenever you're walking around campus?
Man, I'm so excited because, one, the South End Zone needed it. We needed it really bad for a lot of reasons, but now we're going to turn around and have one of the best facilities in the country. And then the Womble football facility is going to be, every inch of it's going to be how to make these guys better in every part of their lives. So, man, I'm so excited, and I follow everything. Usually, I get on there with you guys and see the videos of different things, Grayson being at practice and seeing the facilities going up in Waco. And I was there whenever, it really got proposed. And so I think it's going to be awesome because I think it's great for the student athlete. It's great for the fans. Man, our stadium, it's just the game day atmosphere is already crazy, but you're fixed to have a new sound system, 3 new scoreboards, the South End Zone's probably 3 stories taller than what it was. So it's going to be so much louder. And then it's going to be beautiful. So whenever you see it on TV, a lot of people are going to be going, what the heck's going on in Lubbock, Texas? And so I'm really excited about it.
Joey, thank you very much. I hope they'll be able to – we'll see you at Big 12 Media Days. And if you don't come over to us, we're going to come over to you. We'll see you then, right?
No, you don't have to worry about that. I'm going to have to give y'all every one of you going to get big hugs, man. You know how much I appreciate y'all. And I'm huge fans, man. I still follow everything you guys do and rooting for you guys because y'all are the best, man. You've treated me so great. Shoot, man. Love you guys to death, man. I can't thank you enough for having me on.
We appreciate it. We didn't even get to really a lot of football. Your defense played well in the game, right? The spring game, they kind of, with all the players you have back on offense, the defense played well?
Yeah, they did. Now, the one thing that DeRuiter and everybody would say, Zach didn't tempo anybody, That's kind of one thing that we really do. And if you go back to what Coach Browse did with his tempo, it helps defenses out a lot whenever you're not doing that. So, but I was really proud of the defense because we held a good number of defensive guys out just because they played so many reps, and so we wanted to get a bunch of our young guys reps, and so it was really good to see those guys respond.
Good luck with the wedding. Thank you very much. Garrett's having a great time in Lincoln, and you're having a great time in Lubbock. We appreciate your time, Joey.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate y'all.
Joey McGuire, Texas Tech football coach, with us on 365 Sports. Jalen McClendon from the Los Angeles Vipers is going to join us here in just a second.
Huh? Are they Vegas?
What did I say?
Angeles.
Oh, yes, Las Vegas Vipers, who had a really nice ending to the year. Let's just stay here because he's going to call in at any time. And it sounds like 10 starters back on offense that got to be really, really good and was at times fantastic despite the quarterback transition. Tyler Shuck at the end was fantastic. Sounds great. Things are great in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could have talked more specific football, but it's also spring, and I'm not sure how much he's going to divulge, necessarily, specifically, but I think we did get a good chunk of football, even though we did talk about a lot of other things, but I think that's just speaking to the excitement around the program right now. I mean, they've got a first-round NFL draft pick getting his name called tomorrow, new facilities, winning season, bowl win, great recruiting. Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot to talk about right now that's all positive with that program, and we all know that there's only, the same, if not higher expectations heading into next year with the amount of starters that he has returning, as he pointed out. I mean, they're not just being talked about for no reason. I mean, they're being talked about next year because of the job he did in year one, the job his staff did, and the recruiting job, and obviously the number of players coming back. So they're going to be legit, and excited to see what they can do with all that. But yeah, it's always great to hear from Coach McGuire. I mean, you can see how easy it is to have fun with him at the helm of a program and to play for him, I would imagine, as well. So, yeah, always great to talk to Joey, and cool to get his insight on just so many different positive things going on for Texas Tech.
And he will be in Kansas City for that draft tomorrow with Tyree Wilson. Emory, I'm dead serious here. Will you go out front and let me know if you hear any sirens? I'm being told in the chat room that there's a tornado warning now in Waco. Some said tornado watch, but there's a tornado warning, and I know we have Jalen McClendon on to see if there's anything that might be sirens or whatever in the area. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
We're now joined by Jalen McClendon, former Baylor and NC State quarterback, now with the Las Vegas Vipers. And great to have you on, Jalen. It's been a while since we spoke with you when you were at Baylor. But, man, you ended the season strong. What were your thoughts about how everything ended that year?
I mean, we didn't end the season ultimately how we wanted to. We thought we had better talent than what our record shows, but it is what it is at this point. But we like from a team standpoint, we just wanted to end the season strong, and even with that last game, that's kind of been indicative of what our season has been this whole year. But other than that, I thought we did finish the last 4 games strong, even though obviously the scoreboard doesn't support that, but we felt as if we played as a different team the latter part of the season.
And you had that opportunity late in the year. How much did that help? Not maybe team-wise the way you wanted to end, but what you were able to do and the success you had.
I think it was really just really credit to the rest of the team. They really just welcomed me with open arms, and I thought everybody just played their hearts out. And for me, it was pretty simple to just come in and make sure I did my job, and I know they would take care of the rest.
Jalen, what's this journey been like for you from, transferring in college to, fighting through the professional ranks and now being in the XFL? I know it's not easy, but you've kept your head up the whole time.
I don't think it's been tough for sure, but I think it's more credit to my faith, knowing that everything worked together for the good. So I just kept that in the back of my head and really kept it deep in my heart. So just having faith in that and knowing that. So that's what kept me encouraged and I guess keeping the fight.
Jalen, what's the experience been like as far as just the XFL being back, after the relaunch with The Rock taking over and all of that? Just how do you feel like the league's done in your experience, and how do you feel like the future is?
I thought the league has done really well. I thought it's done better than the XFL 2.0 as far as like ratings and like numbers and all of that. I thought it's done really well.
Jalen, you were in a position where you were not playing, and then all of a sudden the head coach wants to see you get some playing time, and then you ran with it. I was told that when your coach was approached about trading one of the players for Las Vegas, that you were not going to be one of those who was traded. What did that mean to you?
I actually didn't know that. So you just said it really. So for him to say that, that's definitely flattering. But I appreciate it. I think it's just, and I would tell him that too. I think it's just a credit to like my work ethic and what I've shown all the way up until I played, and him just having confidence in me. So I definitely I appreciate him saying that.
Are you having fun with all this right now?
Oh, yeah, for sure, absolutely. It ain't nothing. It's nothing like playing. Like it's nothing like being out there on the field and playing. So that's definitely the best part of it all.
Jalen, you came to Baylor from North Carolina State, and obviously you got a shot to play and did. And then, the transfer portal then was not even named the transfer portal. It was just you transferred, and whatever went with that. Grad transfer, you got to play right away. Have you paid attention to how things have changed so much in college athletics with that?
Yeah, because I deal with a lot of younger athletes. Like that's in high school, and I still keep in contact with a few kids in high school, or not in high school, in college right now. So just like talking with them about like their different NIL deals and like what they got going on, and like as far as from a high school standpoint, how to manage like getting NIL offers, like dealing with kids that are in the transfer portal and not being able to go to school, or like just that whole process. It's definitely it's a whole nother world now. But I'm thankful I didn't have to go through this. It's too much to deal with in my end. But I think it's just it's a whole different world now. Hopefully it gets under control, because if it keeps going how it is, it'll definitely get out of hand quick.
Yeah, we've heard the way, not from everybody, but you almost hear the fact there's chaos or whatever. What was your time at Baylor? What did it mean to you overall in your growth as a player and a person?
It's definitely it's even though it's short lived, it's a year that I'll never forget. Like as a man, as a Christian, as a player, like it definitely shaped me to be who I am right now. So it's most definitely an unforgettable experience.
I have your name up on Google, and Vipers quarterback on the rise. Change at quarterback pays off with the Vipers. Jalen McClendon is a baller. Jalen McClendon shines in XFL debut. And I know that you know how well you played, and I know that the wins and losses weren't what you wanted, but this kind of came fast for you at the end. What was that like?
To me, it really didn't come fast. Like I knew I was going to play at some point in the year, no matter if it was the last game or the first game. I knew I was going to play at some point. For me, it was just making sure I stayed prepared for the moment, making sure I did everything I needed to do, and just took care of my business on my end. And I knew playing was going to take care of itself.
Is playing quarterback in the XFL any different than playing big-time college football or at any level?
To me, I try to keep it as a kid's game. It's just grown men playing it now, but it's still at the end of the day, it's still football. But that is definitely like quicker than college, but I try to slow it down and make it as simple as possible.
So what's next for you? What happens now?
Hopefully, camp invite, but if not, then it'll be just coming back again next year.
Jalen, thank you, man. It's great. We appreciate Sage Salmons for helping set this up and getting you on. Way to finish what you started, and good luck this offseason with what opportunities you might have, and we'll be following you along the way, and we appreciate your time.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
You too. Jalen McClendon, NC State, Baylor, and now a part of the Las Vegas Vipers, quarterback who had a nice run. They finished 2-8, but he had a really good opportunity at the end, and he took advantage of it. He came to Baylor to compete for the starting quarterback job from NC State, and he only, I think, started the one game against Oklahoma State that year. And Charlie Brewer, of course, entrenched as a quarterback with Baylor. 5:04 is the time. Around the corner, J.J. Joe, Baylor radio color analyst, former Baylor quarterback. His thoughts about what he saw from that position during the spring game. And this is 365 Sports.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, a hidden gem in Waco. You cannot beat it when you are looking for the best in craft whiskeys, local craft whiskeys like TX, Devil's River, Garrison Brothers. Had some TX a couple weeks ago, and that's some good stuff. Everything they have there is fantastic at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. Best selection of craft beers and fantastic customer service. Like I said, a speedy drive-through window. Everything's wonderful there. I love going there and just looking at the different selections they have. Craft beers, look, we are almost in May, so I would say that, if there's spring and summer brews, those are now in their rotation as far as the craft beer goes. So if there's something you'd like to try, I bet you they've got it there at Riverbend Liquor and Wine. They're available on DoorDash, and they always have great promotions going, and you see when they add new brands and everything on their Instagram account. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive and North 19th Street, behind the bank.
We've received nominations from Central Texas high school counselors for the 13th annual Academic All-Stars team. The selection process underway to find the elite student athletes. Hi, this is David Smoak. Nominations include student athletes who thrive and succeed in both academic and athletic competition. We'll select a 20-member team this month and announce the Academic All-Stars team on Monday, May 1st.
The 2022-23 Academic All-Star team is brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, Westdale Asset Management, Southwest Sports Medicine, Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, HEB, Ray Broker AC, Alliance Bank, the McLean Group, Universal Windows Direct, Hal Whitaker and Louis Englander Scholarship Fund, the U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Center, IdealMRI.com, Bubba's 33, the Baylor Club, and our 501c3, the Waco Foundation.
We'll honor the 13th annual Academic All-Stars team at our annual banquet Wednesday, May 17th at the Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium. We're proud to recognize the elite student athletes in Greater Central Texas and be involved with this program. It's the 13th annual Academic All-Stars team right here on 365 Sports.
It's Ram Truck Month at Allen Samuels in Waco, and the deals couldn't be any hotter. Get a new 2023 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with values up to $4,250 plus 4.9% for 72 months. Or get a new 2022 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab with 1.9% for 72 months or 10% off MSRP. That's right. Come pick from the best selection of brand new inventory in Central Texas at Allen Samuels in Waco while supplies last.
Hey, this is Bryce Petty, former starting quarterback and two-time Big 12 champion, and I know firsthand the importance of being in top shape both on and off the field. So listen up, men. If you're feeling beat down day in and day out and looking for that high-performance edge that separates the men from the boys, then look no further than the Petty Clinic Low T in Waco. Petty Clinic is a comprehensive men's healthcare clinic with an atmosphere catering to men. Board-certified Dr. Kent Petty has a special interest in offering the highest quality medical care to men of all ages. Some of the services offered include food, screening and treatment for low testosterone or thyroid, infertility, high blood pressure, diabetes, high cholesterol, sleep apnea, while offering comprehensive wellness exams and complete men's health lab panels. High Performance Men, remember, it's not just a petty thing. This is Bryce Petty, encouraging you to reach out and Google search Petty Clinic Low T or go to pettycliniclowt.com and get your complimentary lab screening today.
Stepping into a new pair of boots is great, but stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can also add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. There are more than 150 occupational specialties to help them find the best fit for their future. See all the things your son or daughter can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543. Three Nations Brewing Company has 16 different beers on draft with a new beer every Friday. It also offers 2 air-conditioned tap rooms, a large indoor beer hall, a second-floor mezzanine offering a great overview of the brewing company and equipment and patio where you can relax under the shade. Plus, you can now experience the new Three Nations Beer Garden Grill on our shaded patio. Grab a cold beer and enjoy a bite from our freshly prepared and delicious menu. Street tacos, quesadillas, freshly cooked burgers and dogs, and veggie burgers too. Nachos and so much more, all prepared and cooked on site. So come visit the award-winning Three Nations Brewing Company on East Vandergrift off I-35 in Carrollton.
In the market for a quality metal building? Since 1943, Pioneer Steel & Pipe has helped Central Texas residential and commercial customers with metal building design, panel options, building components, and trim options. Pioneer Steel & Pipe's residential line is energy efficient, offers low maintenance, reduces insurance payments, is impact resistant, and carries up to a 45-year limited warranty. In addition, they can also help you find a metal building contractor for your project. Pioneer Steel & Pipe with locations in Waco and Bryan and at pioneersboys.com.
This is 365 Sports. Want more updates during the day? Follow 365 Sports YT on Twitter.
Here we go, this 5 o'clock hour. And again, thanks to all of you that are trying to keep us up to date on some of the weather. There's some pretty nasty stuff around the Waco area. We appreciate that. And it's not going to get any better. Paxton just sent me a tornado an image for later on tonight. It's going to just get worse. J.J. Joe, Baylor radio color analyst, former Baylor quarterback, with us on 365 Sports with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoak. So, J.J., obviously Dave Aranda, after the spring game, mentioned it seemed like that they're going to make a decision like they did a year ago with who is quarterback or QB1. What were your thoughts of what you saw with the play of Sawyer Robertson and also the, I guess you could say, in charge at this time, Blake Shapen?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It was a great spring game, I thought. I really liked I'm not crazy about the offense versus defense smoke, but I can digest it. But anyway, I think on the quarterbacks, I was surprised that he felt like he wanted to go ahead and name one, but you know how Coach Aranda is. He swims upstream. But I thought both guys played real well. That's the really first time I've gotten a really long look at old Sawyer, and I liked what I saw, right? Now I will say this, starting out the game, I think the way they had it set up, I think it would look like more of a 1v1, 2v2 kind of deal initially. And so it looked like early when he got going a little bit, maybe he was going against, what I would call sometimes the twos, but nevertheless, he looked really good. I liked his poise. I did like his accuracy. He seemed to really put the ball wherever he wanted to put it. I had one drop on a slant that I thought would be a touchdown. But nevertheless, played well. I thought Blake was in command. A few of the things, with Blake, I thought that late in the scrimmage, I want to continue to see improvement. It just, you can tell sometimes with his feet, the old baseball player pops his head back up. So I like to see what he's going to do in the summer with his quarterback's coach and go from there. But thought they both did well, and we'll see who coach names. Has he named anybody?
No, not yet that we know of.
Well, I would anticipate that, Blake would be named the starter. I mean, I heard that he really looked well throughout spring, played well, really, really took on a leadership role. I heard Sawyer, though, came in and as a natural leader himself. So My gut would tell me, although it's hard to have a gut with Coach Aranda, is that Blake would go in fall as the number one guy. But that doesn't mean the competition stops. You got to come back in the summer and, pick up where you left off.
JJ, what did you think about the defense? It looks like they're a little bit behind the offense at this point. I know, again, hard to tell in that format, but even still that they don't really have playmakers right now.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that defensively, of course, when you lose, what they lost up front, you lose those guys, Puika, you lose Cole Maxwell, you lose Dylan Doyle, you lose Christian Morgan. We know we had a couple of transfer in there as well. I think I forget which one of our safeties, but nevertheless, and then you lose corners. I mean, you're just going to take a step back. I liked what I saw today. I saw that the young man, I think I can say from Oregon, committed to transfer. So that's in a spot that I thought we would probably need a body or two up front. But I think they'll get there. I liked what I saw from College's defense. I did like to see, they play quarters, but I liked the way the corners played. The corners, at least at the snap, pressed a little bit more to take away the easy stuff. I think they'll get there. They have enough bodies and enough talent to get. I like Mike Smith and Mike. He was all over the place. And it was another young man. Is it the DeSoto? I'm trying to get he played Mike too. I believe he's from DeSoto. Somebody pull that name for me. But he played really well I think as a reserve role there. At that, I think that was the Mike linebacker, Will linebacker spot.
Mm-hmm. JJ, looking at some of the strengths this team possibly has, how much do you think Dominic Richardson adds to that running back room? And then also the true freshman in Bryson Washington. Seems like he's going to play. We know Richardson's going to play, and you add those two to what you hope is an improved and a strengthened Quaylen Jones and Richard Reese. Not a lot to dislike really about that room. What are your thoughts?
Hey, I like it. Last year we kind of got concerned. We had Quaylen in there, but when we had the Squirrel and along with Reese, we were kind of concerned. Like, did they weigh 250 together? We started wondering, right? but both of I'm excited to see Reese next year. Quaylen Jones, I think, with the way he runs, he improved a lot. He catches the ball in the backfield, strong runner. He's good. I really like him. And I really like what I saw with Dominic Richardson. He has a really good natural body lean. He seems to fall forward more often than not. He doesn't mess around a lot. I like that in this offense. I like the room. Those three guys, and I haven't even got, like I said, to Bryce. He impressed me. I was surprised. I really did have a good handle on him. But to throw him in there, and you need bodies, good bodies in this offense because, Coach, we're going to run the ball. And when you run the ball out, running backs get dinged. And to have that room that deep, if we can just make sure we hold on to everybody, man, it'll look good in the fall.
Devin Bobby is the safety from DeSoto that does play up and is a very sure tackler. He had a lot of interceptions in high school, number 28 on the roster now. Is that one that you were talking about?
No, man, this dude played line. I'm gonna get the name before we get off this call. Smoak.
Okay,
but he was making some hits, man. I don't think it was Bobby.
Okay,
I knew Bobby. I don't think it's him, but I'll get that name.
Garrett, you know who it was?
Was it Carmelo Jones?
Yeah, that dude right there.
Yep,
that guy right there was bringing a little smoke, man. He was. I think they had him listed like third on the depth chart or something. But he was. Where is he from? Is he from DeSoto or Cedar Hill?
He's from West Orange Stark.
Well, dog, I'm way off on it. But anyway, he was. I thought he was up that way. Man, I may have been thinking about Bobby from DeSoto, but whatever. But no, he was. He was covering space fast, and he was bringing pad level, and he stood out. Like a lot of times in the spring, you're just like, okay, who pops? Mike Smith popped to me, and then that young man popped when a lot of the reserves went a little bit. So I'd be interested to see if he continues to improve and gets a little action in the fall.
It shows him as 32 on the roster, Carmelo Jones, the linebacker. Him. Yeah. So, Aranda made the comments about the quarterback position. And last year when he made the decision between Gary Bohannon and Blake Shapen, it was about being more dynamic and stretching the field. That didn't work out. Do you see Sawyer Robertson being a guy that can stretch out the field more, although it looks like Blake still has the much stronger arm?
Yeah, I think they both can. I think it's just really, can we keep Monterey balling healthy? If you thought about last year, Monterey was really our only guy that scared defenses vertically. So I think, from a couple of young players, I did like Keytron Jackson. I saw him. He didn't catch a lot of balls on Saturday, but I did like, what I saw from him. He has good body. Looks like he runs really good routes. But I think I think they have a couple other deep threats, kids that can run vertical this year, in addition to Monterey. So I'm hoping that'll allow us to take advantage and really, defenses really can't load up on one guy on a vertical route. But I think Sawyer he showed that he could go vertical with the ball. And I know Blake can. Blake's the only challenge. Sometimes if his feet get weird on him or get baseball-y, I like to call it, for lack of a better word. Sometimes he won't get it there. Or as we saw on Saturday, he missed him a couple of times, but I think he needed to miss him because I think Monterey was covered pretty good a couple of times. So I expect they have to be able to throw the ball vertical. If you're going to run the ball, you got to be able to make those secondary players think that you may go over their head, so they can respect that, and then kind of lay off your run a little bit.
With that in mind, JJ, your thoughts on the wide receivers? Keytron Jackson got a lot of positive press throughout the offseason just for his work ethic and the way that he's fit in. But there's a lot of young and unproven outside of Monterey, as you mentioned. He'll be a guy, but how do you feel about Jackson and some of the other young players that are coming along?
Yeah, I like Cameron. I like those young players that I saw. There was one young man, and I'm getting older. But he ran. I noticed they ran the fly sweep with him a little bit more instead of Monterey.
Bonner,
yeah, I like that. That was Bonner. I like that because I thought that meant that he had a little bit of the speed and a little bit of, I guess you could say, the wiggle. And I really don't like Monterey running that anymore. I mean, he did it in that Big 12 championship game. I don't need to see him on that anymore because the only reason I say that is not because of speed, it's because he's a slight guy, and we had some injuries with him last year. And I really think they have to find a way to keep Monterey on the field. And if you can keep them away from, those fly sweeps where a lot of times you're taking maybe an outside linebacker or a star type safety hitting you, it could help. But I did like the receivers, man. I was hoping to see Amani Winfield on Saturday. I hadn't gotten to see him. I know he was out. They had him listed, I think, a second on the depth chart there from one of the positions. I liked what I saw from, I think it's Jordan Cameron, too. He has a good body. I know he's down there. They have talent. The question will be, kind of will they be able to pull it together and get the protection? Can they protect the quarterback with this new line that's going to be in play to allow them time to get the ball to those tight ends and receivers?
JJ, I thought it was interesting. Dave Aranda said during the offseason, right at the beginning of spring, and then kind of touched on at the end, that he was too lax with guys last year. Maybe he should have kicked guys off the team rather than suspending them or holding them out of a practice. And that's, just a realization that comes with experience. But from your standpoint, having been a part of a team, how much, and we were all trying to put our finger on what was wrong last year, like what just feels off. And it certainly seems like that was some of it. But what'd you think about that self-realization by Coach Aranda and how that may benefit or how that affected them last year?
Yeah, Coach Aranda, man, I listened to him. He's very introspective. He told us all year, I think, what he thought. I mean, he would make, during the interviews, I actually listened to him because he doesn't give you coach speak. He says it different, but he gave us, kind of like it led up to, I think, us making the switch to DC, what he felt. I think he said a lot of things, and I really did appreciate what he said about being too nice. Now, I get it. Our mantra is person over player, and it's right. That's exact, and I'm glad that we do that. And I think others are adopted it now too. But at the end of the day, you're a football coach and you're paid to win games. And don't get me wrong, he needs to develop men. That's part of what I would want to see. But if he is a good football coach instills discipline and accountability in everybody he coaches. That's his goal. And if you do that, you're going to produce good men. So I'm anticipating that, man, what he said, that he is going to live up to, and then you will see some changes from him as it relates to how he deals with personnel.
JJ, sometimes spring games can be boring as hell, and people look for a dynamic play or whatever. Monterey had a couple of those. But is a boring spring game actually sometimes a good one? I know Boykins went down, but other than that, it seemed like they were pretty healthy along the way.
Yeah, any word on Boykins yet? I saw that.
I text Baylor and I was told they're going to keep it in house, but I did see a note in our website that that it does appear as if they expect him back and it's not long term. At least that's what I saw from one of those. Like I think it was Grayson or Colt, one of the two.
Yeah, hopefully so. So yeah, Smoak, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, really, at some point, I was saying I was kind of surprised that they were still tackling. Dominique Richardson, I think, was out there running pretty late, and I was kind of surprised that in that second half they didn't really kind of give the game over to the reserves, let them get a lot of action. But yeah, you want it to be uneventful. When I saw Boykins go down, I was really concerned because it just didn't look good, right? The way he was down. I didn't actually see the hit.
Yeah.
But the way he was down, I didn't like it. And then he came back out with the ice on his knee, so on his leg, whatever. But nevertheless, yeah, I mean, it seemed like for the most part they got out of there healthy, and that's what you want, man. You want some exciting plays, Mo, but you want it to kind of be boring in any other way imaginable.
JJ, always great. Can't wait to have you on as we get close to the season, fall workouts, and then season week to week. Appreciate your time and knowledge as always.
All right, guys. I'll take care.
You too. That's JJ Joe, Baylor Radio, color analyst, former Baylor quarterback. And he seemed to be, I think, maybe of everyone, including us, we've talked throughout the week and others we've talked to, seemed to be okay. He thought somewhat more upbeat about what he saw. He played the game. He knows the game. And that might be a nice little sliver of positivity right there. Coming up, we'll have John Machota. You want to follow up on what JJ said? Anything?
No, not really. I think he kind of said it all, and we've talked about various things. But no, I mean, I'll let his words speak for themselves. Mm-hmm. I think it's good to get his perspective. And yeah, everybody's going to have a different one coming off a spring game. I've been saying, no matter what I've said about anything, it's still just a spring game. I've said that like every 10 minutes in between comments of like, it's still just a spring game. So any, supreme overreactions, the likes of which we've seen, especially in regards to Blake Shapen, I'm sorry, I don't waste time on them. I just kind of disregard them and move on. So yeah, I mean, I definitely didn't think that everything was like super great, and if you're thinking they're going to go run towards the Big 12 championship, I have my doubts, but I also did see some good things as well. So yeah, I mean, it's in the eye of the beholder, but I feel good about where they are and the direction they're going, and I don't know how good they're going to be next year, but I think they'll be a better team, an improved team, and we'll see how that translates record-wise. But yeah, I'm not down coming out of the spring game. There's just some things that are clearly still a work in progress, and I think that's okay to acknowledge. Without, feeling like, oh, well, they need to fire. So it's like, it's the spring game. It's the freaking spring game. But let's have a little perspective on things. So, yeah, finding that middle ground, I think, is good. And he provides some nice positive balance.
Yeah, the other thing, if you watch any spring game anywhere, after about 10 minutes of them practicing, it becomes really hard to follow who's coming in and doing what when with what squad, because then that's where they see their kind of wave of ones on ones, like JJ said, and twos versus twos, and then you start going, well, this guy, we've seen enough from him, he can go sit down, this and that, and then you start seeing a bunch of things that you may never see ever again. But this is the time that they have to do it, and they're trying it out because they want to get it on film and look at it. So it is hard to judge anything from the spring game. It really is.
By the way, there's still a lot of severe weather around the Waco area, McLennan County. I know that there was a tornado warning in the Valley Mills, the town of Valley Mills. There's also, apparently that's now closer in the area of China Spring. I'm looking at the KWTX, which is one of our, of course, our relationship with them, with the CW, and also our pregame shows with Josh Young. And it's only going to get worse later on tonight, so we appreciate a lot of you who are helping us during the broadcast to keep up with what's going on when it comes to severe weather. Emery's also kind of monitoring it as our resident meteorologist. And I mean, there's a lot of bad weather in the area, into East Texas, headed into Louisiana, and also up in the Dallas and Fort Worth area near Stephenville to the northwest of us. So we'll try to keep our eye on this. When we come back the day before the draft, John Machota covers the Cowboys, theathletic.com. You have you have about a half hour. It's Wednesday to order live crawfish at Waco Custom Marketplace. Their price the last time I saw was just over $3 a pound. 30-pound sacks of live crawfish, so you can have a crawfish boil this weekend. They have the red potatoes. They have the corn on the cob. They have king crab legs if you want those too. It's just ready for you. Plus all of the seasoning, all of what you need when it comes to a crawfish boil. And oh, by the way, they have a full-service bakery and butcher shop. Right now, inside the butcher shop, some of the specials, beef short ribs at $4.75 a pound. The tomahawk ribeye steak at $15.99 a pound. That's a big piece of steak with the big bone that you almost feel like is a billy club. Whole chickens at $1.70 a pound. Hot links at $3.50 a pound. Beef, pork, poultry, and also seafood. The bakery with fresh baked bread and kolaches and sweets and treats and the marinades and seasonings and more. Waco Custom Marketplace at 425 Lake Air Drive in Waco.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. Keeps me coming back. Cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy. Last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
TFNB Your Bank for Life is the official local bank of Baylor Athletics. Find out why more Central Texans are making TFNB their bank for life. Sign up for our Edge checking and savings accounts to earn interest or cash back. With 5 convenient locations and an award-winning mobile app, banking has never been easier. TFNB Your Bank for Life. Member FDIC.
Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
Automatic Chef Canteen is a full-service micro-market vending and office coffee provider with state-of-the-art vending equipment, a wide variety of products, and offering custom-fitted micro-market vending office coffee solutions for your employee break room. You want a full break room solution and a workplace oasis? Well, Automatic Chef Canteen, locally owned and operated for over 50 years in Central Texas, also includes in-house mechanics on call 24/7 for fast, reliable service and maintenance. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchefcanteen.com.
Stepping into the boots of a U.S. Army officer can add confidence and leadership skills to your son or daughter's career path. See all the things they can achieve in our boots at GoArmy.com. U.S. Army Waco Recruiting Company, 254-598-8131 or 254-776-1543.
One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Cam Heathcott, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why we take the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Cam Heathcott in Conroe at 936-756-7717. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Welcome back to 365 Sports, powered by Sikkim365.com. It's time for our weekly segment with John Machota of The Athletic, brought to you by Pioneer Steel and Pipe, where customer service is their main focus, and best in metal, steel, and pipe for large or small projects, with 2 locations in Waco and Bryan. Family owned and operated since 1943.
John Machota joins us the eve of the draft. Cowboys have the 26th pick in the draft. Made some very nice trades, it seems like, in the offseason. John, thanks for your time with Craig and Paul. I'm David Smoak. And so any kind of little whispers here and there that you have coming out of the Star and Frisco that Dallas, anything unique that might happen?
I don't know about unique, but I really do think that there's a lot of smoke behind this whole Michael Mayer thing from Notre Dame. If the tight end is there, now of course there could be other players that fall that would maybe knock him back or whatever. But I think if they have their pick of tight ends, I feel more confident now than I have at any other time covering the team that I could see them taking a tight end in the first round. It just hasn't happened since '97, and McCarthy had never drafted a tight end in the first 2 rounds in Green Bay, so I've always been kind of hesitant to think that would happen. But that one right there is one that I think is got a real possibility, and it's pretty intriguing too, just because when you look at a lot of the comps for Mayer, it is Jason Witten, and so just to think like if they were able to get another Jason Witten, how huge that could be for the offense. But no, in terms of anything wild, nothing that is. It's just when you're picking at 26, it's tough to be expecting anything. And frankly, if you're the Cowboys, since Will McClay's taken over the draft, when things have kind of gotten crazy, they've been kind of at their best. Zach Martin wasn't their first option by far in 2014, and they couldn't have picked a better player than him. Micah Parsons was certainly not who they wanted at first in the 2021 draft, but J.C. Horn and Patrick Surtain get drafted ahead, and those are the guys they wanted, and they end up with Parsons, and he's the face of the franchise now. He's going to eventually probably be the highest paid player and highest paid defensive player in the NFL. So I guess I would say that maybe if you're a Cowboys fan, root for a little bit of chaos. It seems like they do all right when there's some chaos.
John, all the talk from Cowboys fans is like, how can they get Bijan? How can they get Bijan? Let's talk realistically unless he falls to 26 or around there where they might, be willing to trade up a couple spots and get him. What other running backs do you think fit and that they might have strong feelings about?
So maybe I'm reading too much into this, but I just keep going back to the owners' meetings in Arizona when Steven was asked about pairing a running back with Tony Pollard. Because, Steven has been on the record several times in the last month about somehow they want Pollard beyond just this next year. They would like to work something out with him. So they would like to ultimately find someone who complements Tony. And so when you hear that, is that all just a bunch of BS because they do like Jahmyr Gibbs from Alabama? I just don't know how well Gibbs would fit with Pollard. But if you're looking for someone that would fit with Tony, like one of the names that jumps out to me is Zach Charbonnet, the guy from UCLA, who's a little bit of a bigger back, like a more physical runner, kind of like a Zeke type thing where you could use him in short yardage, use him in goal line, and he's very rarely ever loses yards. He's always finishing forward. I just feel like Charbonnet would be, a potential second round pick that would be a good fit to pair with Tony Pollard. But, Steven said the other day that he thinks that running back is one of the deeper positions in this draft class. And so they might have their eyes on somebody in one of the later rounds that they think could potentially be a good pairing with Tony. And then there's always the factor that they did get Tony in the 4th round. And so if they feel like, hey, this is a good depth at running back, well, maybe they don't look at it as the way that myself and probably a lot of Cowboys fans look at it as like, man, running back's a position that you probably need to address in the first 3 rounds. They could potentially think that they could still get somebody in the 4th, but I would be very surprised if they got through this draft without taking a running back at some point.
What if they, let's say 3rd round or maybe even slide 4th round, if they came out of this draft with Devin Achane or Kendry Miller?
Yeah, for sure. Those are certainly 2 possibilities. Those are names that, Dane Brugler, our draft expert, he's talked a lot about is, some quality running backs that you don't have to spend, a 1st or 2nd round pick on. And that's the thing about running back. Like, it is probably at the top of the list in terms of guys that can contribute immediately and do, somewhat similar production to what they did in college. It just seems like that the learning curve isn't the same at some other positions. And so, yeah, you get a guy like that, or either one of those backs in, like the 3rd or 4th round, that's great value. And then you have them for 4 years and from day one, you're giving them touches. You're expecting them to contribute immediately. And so, yeah, no, that's certainly a possibility. But of course, if Bijan Robinson was to fall at 26, I just think that's such a no-brainer that there's just no way you could pass on him.
John Machota, theathletic.com, Cowboys 26 pick for right now in the 1st round tomorrow night's draft.
John, do you have someone that you would kind of excitedly like to see them pick just because of what it maybe would mean for the the change in the team a little bit?
So for me, by far, Bijan Robinson would be number one. I just think that he could be the spark for this team that, really Zeke was in 2016. Obviously Dak's a huge part of that too, but I just think he could help so many different parts of the team. He would be number one for me. I think two would probably be Nolan Smith from Georgia, just because, a lot of people have him projected to go top 15, but he's also one of those guys that, you see in some mock drafts that he slides a little bit. And I just think he'd be very interesting to pair with Micah Parsons, because like Micah, he's not built like your traditional defensive end in a 4-3, but he just got that pass rushing ability. And although he was good in college, I don't know if we've seen his best ball yet. And so he'd be another guy that if you just put him into this defense, it would be interesting to see like what level it could take it to. And in our mock draft on The Athletic, when it came to be my pick, I ended up taking Michael Mayer because I do think that they like him a lot and that I think it's realistic. But one of the guys that was there that I passed on was Clemson defensive end Myles Murphy. And I think if he was actually there, which I don't think he will be, but that's another guy, like an edge rusher like that all of a sudden now you have your future guy that you're going to have opposite of Micah Parsons. I think that would be really intriguing because, they have Sam Williams and Dorrance Armstrong and some guys, but you just can never have enough pass rush. And so on offense, it would be Bijan Robinson. I don't really love any of the receivers like that. I guess Jackson Smith and Jigba you could put in there. But on defense, it is certainly, if they were able to get some more pass rush there, I think that would be really intriguing.
I know that there's thoughts about an inside plugger, that's I don't know where he's going to go, when he's going to go. Have you heard anything about Siaka Ika at Baylor and also the Cowboys?
I haven't. I know Dane Brugler has him as a second round type guy, and that could make some sense for the Cowboys. I mean, that's what they need. Mozzie Smith from Michigan is another guy, that is mentioned with the Cowboys quite a bit, who I don't think they would take him at 26, but possibly if he was to fall in the second round or if they traded back. That's a position that obviously needs to be addressed. I just question if the Cowboys have that type of a value on that position, but they certainly need help at defensive tackle. For all the great things that they've done on defense, the one thing that stands out that they need to continue to improve is their run defense. And they have Quentin Bohanna and they just re-signed Jonathan Hankins for another year. But it would make a lot of sense to add a young defensive tackle into that mix that you can combine with Osa Odighizuwa, so you could have him for the next, 5, 6, 7 years. But to get a player like that, you're going to have to use a first or second round pick. And the Cowboys used one on Tristan Hill and it didn't work out, but really, before Tristan Hill, there weren't many times where they even did that. So just because they haven't spent on the position, that's the only reason why I'm a little bit cautious of predicting them to take a defensive tackle in the first or second round.
John, thank you. As always, good luck tomorrow with coverage. And, they'll show the Cowboys War Room 48 times before they even get a pick, whether they move up or stay where they are at 26. So that'll be fun to just kind of make you guys go running around crazy. Thanks for your time as always, John. Enjoy the draft. Enjoy the coverage, and good luck with it. John Machota, theathletic.com on 365 Sports. I'm telling you, Laura and Barry, among others, we appreciate you who have helped us kind of keep track of what's going on because the severe weather is everywhere. And Laura, it looks like it's going to skirt just north of Waco. That's what it usually does. It kind of goes like west-northwest of us, or it heads kind of east. Craig is right there in the middle on I-35, and sometimes it'll go, kind of like off to the right to the east of us. So it doesn't mean there has not been some bad stuff that have hit, but I know that the worst weather might be just around the corner here tonight based on the radar. All right, before we get to the top five, who do you think, who I'm interested to see who gets Ty J. Spears, the running back at Tulane. I like him. Obviously, I mentioned A-Chain and Kendry Miller, but what I saw him doing is against USC as well. I enjoy his style.
Yeah, I like Ty J. Spears. You know who I'm interested to see, because we talk about his teammate all the time, is Roschon Johnson. I think in the right
system.
That's
why I brought that up to John.
Roschon. Yeah, I'm interested to see Roschon. I'm interested to see lots of different guys and where they go at that position, because it is so strange how people. Sean Tucker from Syracuse is getting a lot of play right now. I think his Mel Kiper likes him. But, there are running back is an intriguing position as the value changes and all that. I really, of course, I've been obsessed with the draft, and I do a lot of mock drafts. I'm kind of hooked on the Cowboys drafting Jonathan Mingo from Ole Miss because he's in that, Ole Miss big dude, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf mold, and they don't have a guy like that. Everybody else, you look at their wide receivers, even with the acquisition of Brandon Cooks, they've got a bunch of guys who are lithe and a little smaller. I like the idea of them having some other weapons that they can pair that are different skill sets.
Another name I want to watch, see where he goes, because he was unbelievable. Yep. Yeah, there's a tornado warning from some of you were asking if our phone had gone off, but there you go.
It is going off now. So
tornado warning in the area until 6:30. So, yeah, we're getting close to closing this out with Paul's Top 5. This is 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they are the people that you can count on and the people you've been able to count on for over 24 years now in Central Texas. They're celebrating their 24th anniversary sales event right now. Big savings on pre-owned cars and trucks, special savings on GMC Sierras and Buick Envision SUVs. And speaking of those Sierras, there's dozens of them on the lot right now. Qualified buyers can save $3,000 on 2023 Sierra SLTs or SLE 1500s. Qualified buyers can also get 2.9% financing on 2023 Sierras. Get more information and details when you talk to the good folks over at Richard Carr. If you're not looking to take advantage of the Sierra deals, well, how about those Buick SUVs? Luxury without the luxury price. Smooth and quiet ride. Whether you're driving the 23 Buick Encore, the Envision, or the Enclave, right now qualified buyers can get low financing plus save $2,500 on Buick Enclave Premium or $3,500 on Buick Enclave Avenir. So there are some options, but whatever option you're looking at, there are great prices. And if you're not looking to buy new, but still looking for great prices, well, they've got you covered with many cars and trucks, pre-owned, in stock, and under $20,000. Affordable, thoroughly inspected, ready to finance for almost any credit rating. Quality vehicles ready to drive today, whether pre-owned or whether brand new. And perhaps you don't even need a car. You're just looking to drive the one you're in a little while longer. Their award-winning service department can take care of that as well. As they stand by to keep you on the road, go to richardcar.com to see service specials and to also set an appointment to get your car all fixed up. They've been in business for over 24 years in Central Texas, celebrating their anniversary, and through that time, they built a reputation as the people you can count on for your automotive needs. Run by proud Central Texans. Log on to richardcar.com today. Call now or go see them now off Highway 6 at the Imperial exit.
Aaron Duvall, owner, Texas Beef House. Why did you get into this business?
We kind of were born into it, and it's been for several generations. Our family's been in the beef business, the ranching business, and we've specifically got into the beef business back in about 2015 when me and my son decided to form Texas Beef House and sell directly to the public.
Aaron, everyone knows about Wagyu and how elite that is when it comes to beef. What separates you from anyone else that may do this in this type profession?
We selected out Wagyu mainly because it's such a quality beef and it's consistent. Some beef, some breeds, you may have a good animal every now and then, but Wagyu produces really consistently good beef every time.
Where is the best beef in Texas? Your house. When you order from Texas Beef House, unleash the flavor of Texas raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
Boozers is the wedding ring store and more. If you're ready to get engaged or already married and want to upgrade your wife's ring for a special anniversary, Boozers is the place to go. With the largest selection of premier quality diamond engagement rings and wedding rings in Central Texas. They have 7 cases with over 300 styles of rings from top designers like Natalie Kay. Choose from yellow, white, or rose gold, plus beautiful top quality loose diamonds. With an in-house jewelry, they can also custom make anything you want. Bring in a picture or drawing and let Boozers create your one-of-a-kind pendant or ring. They can even use some of your old gold and diamond jewelry to create something new. At Boozers, you'll find a great selection of quality timepieces, and Boozers is the place for expert watch maintenance and repairs too. They specialize in expert Rolex watch repair for fine jewelry, watches, custom work, and more. Go to Boozers on Valley Mills and Lake Air Drive in Waco.
Boozers, the wedding ring store and more.
It was broad daylight. I stepped into a gas station for 5 minutes to grab a snack, and just like that, my car was broken into. They made out like a bandit. My laptop, my phone, everything. I called my agent to see what could be done, and he restored my faith in humanity. My claim was processed so quickly, and I was able to recover my losses.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations. Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
It's time for Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Texas Beef House. Where's the best beef in Texas? Your house when you order from Texas Beef House. Unleash the flavor of Texas raised Wagyu. From our pasture to your plate, TexasBeefHouse.com.
Go. All right, here we go. Top 5 college football teams affected by this year's NFL draft. We do not have time to really expound on this because we need to watch the weather here. We probably should have left.
So why are you
got
talking?
home 30 minutes ago.
Go.
All right, number 5, Georgia. Look, they're not going to be as affected as most on the field, but look, there are tons of guys in this draft when you go from Jalen Carter to Broderick Jones to Keely Ringo, on and on and on down the list, to everybody, including the quarterback who won 2 national championships in a row, and Stetson Bennett. This is a team that will look a little bit different on the field, but they're so loaded and they've got so many big recruits, you won't notice as much as some of these other teams. Number 4, Pittsburgh. They're losing Izzy Abanikanda, Kalijah Kancey, Carter Warren, probably their 3 highest-ranked players. Maybe not as much volume as a team like Georgia, but the quality that Pittsburgh is losing, especially Kalijah Kancey, a player that I just don't think you can go and replace. He is, in my opinion, the next Aaron Donald and will get drafted in the first round, and a team will be fired up to get him. Number 3. In the rapid-fire top 5. Also, not about quantity, about quality. Deuce Vaughn, Julius Brents, among the 2 most that are going to hurt Kansas State the most. Deuce Vaughn's a player who is, kind of generational, and that he was just so darn good for them and did so many things. And Julius Brents is a dude. I think he fits a lot of different systems, especially in that, Pete Carroll, Dan Quinn, Gus Bradley, Seattle Seahawks long corner who can get after people. He's gone as well, and he's going to go higher than Deuce Vaughn even. And that's a name you may not have heard of a lot about while he was at Kansas State, even though he was a fantastic player there. Number 2.
What about the defensive end?
Oh, yeah, and forget
Felix
Azuke-Adoma is also going to be gone. Number 2, TCU. This is about a volume thing right here, and it's not surprising that even if you go up, Max Duggan will probably be the last of these guys drafted, but Darius Davis, Quentin Johnston, Kendry Miller, pretty much the whole offense, Steve Avila, all gone, all going to be in the NFL draft. So TCU is a team that is going to look, and we've talked about it a little bit, but if you really look at the sheer volume of players they're losing, it's a ton. And number 1, Tennessee. First good year in a very, very long time for them. And the guys who did it, Hendon Hooker, Jalen Hyatt, Cedric Tillman, all will be gone in the first 3 rounds. Not to mention Darnell Wright, their offensive tackle, who's going to go in the first round. Byron Young, one of their defensive ends, who's going to go somewhere in the middle rounds, not sure where he falls, and a couple other players that were there for Josh Heupel. Will be interested to see if he can rebuild and replace that talent 1 year after their best year in a very, very, very long time. That's the top 5. It's tornado time, people.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what Hendon Hooker goes. Craig, anything you want to add, or you just want to get the heck out of here like all of us?
Apparently there's sirens going off near Lake Waco, so we should probably get – that's not too far away. So we should probably head on out. I mean, it could clearly expand, but
okay.
nothing important enough to keep us further delayed, I guess.
Sports tonight at 10:30 on the CW. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thanks to you, all of you trying to protect us in the chat room. We really do appreciate it. Garrett, Emery, Jack, Paul, Craig, I'm David Smoak. We're out of here. 365 Sports. Stay safe and good night.